second day of the House sitting after the Senate and Parliament in general resumed the normal sittings, entering into the fifth session after a 2-long-month recess. The business of the better part of yesterday was basically the approval of members to sit in the Senate Business Committee, signaling the kickoff of the consideration of Senate business before the floor of the House, or before the Senate, if you may like. And upon the approval of members to sit in that critical committee that decides on what is deliberated upon on the floor, the House this morning will be kicking off with a number of business lined up for consideration by senators. Given priority is a procedural motion on the limitation of debate on motions, and this is a motion by the Senate Leader of the Majority Party, Senator Aaron Cheriot. In this motion, the Senate Leader of the Majority Party is seeking to have the Senate resolve that debate on a motion not sponsored by the majority or minority party or a committee shall be limited to a maximum of 3 hours, with not more than 20 minutes allocated to the mover, 20 minutes to the majority party official responder, and 20 minutes to the minority party official responder, and subsequently 15 minutes of each other senator speaking. That is just a procedural motion to guide the House on matters debate on motions. But away from the procedural motions, which are a number, let me now move to the other business lined up for consideration this morning, where the Senate will be going into debate on a number of bills. They include the Kenya National Council for Population and Development Bill, a bill originating from the National Assembly, Bill number 72 of the year 2023 by the Senate Leader of the Majority Party. This bill is actually at the second reading stage of the bill, and what we'll be having at this juncture is that as senators interested to debate this bill will be given that opportunity. Away from that, the Wildlife Conservation and Management Amendment Bill, Senate Bills number 46 of the year 2023 by Senator Jones Maruma, is also lined up for debate this morning. Senators are also set to consider the Wildlife Conservation and Management Amendment Bill, Bill number 49 of the year 2023 by Senator Lenku Seki, the Senator for Kajiado, where senators will be having an opportunity to debate a number of amendments proposed to the existing Act on the Wildlife Conservation Management. The Narcotic Drugs and Psychotropic Substances Control Amendment Bill, Senate Bills number 1 of the year 2024 by the Senate Deputy Speaker, who also serves as the Senator for Meru County, Senator Kathuri Murungi, is lined up for debate. The Cultural Bill, the County Wards Equitable Development Bill, Bill number 20 of the year 2024, done by Senator Karungo Dhangwa in conjunction with Senator Godfrey Osotsi, is also coming up for debate. And closing that category will be the Livestock Production, the Livestock Protection and Sustainability Bill, Senate Bills number 32 of the year 2024 by Senator for Samburu County, Senator Dr. Lelegwe Lumbetsi. This morning, a number of papers are also set to be laid or tabled before the floor of the Senate this morning. There are reports from the Office of the Auditor General in regards to how various state agencies and county governments utilized monies allocated to them in the financial year ending on the 30th of June 2025. The Speaker of the House is already in the chambers. Allow me to hand over for this live broadcast. Enjoy your viewing. Good morning.
Let us pray. Almighty God, we beseech you to behold with your abundant favor and blessings us, your servants, whom you have been pleased to call to leadership positions in this republic. We seek guidance to treat and consider all matters that shall come under deliberation in so just and faithful a manner as to advance the peace, prosperity, and welfare of our country and of those whose interests you've committed to our charge. Amen. Cloud, we have quorum. Sergeant at Arms, kindly ring the quorum bell for 10 minutes.
If you're just joining us, the business of the Senate has kicked off this morning with the proceedings being presided over by the Senate Speaker, Honorable Amason Kingi. But upon the commencement, we have a small quorum hitch, and that has necessitated the Speaker, guided by the House Standing Orders, to direct the Sergeant at Arms to ring the quorum bell for 10 minutes. And this directive is also as a measure to give senators some time, those within the precincts of Parliament, to make their way into the Senate chambers to allow the House to raise quorum of 15 members upon the commencement of business. But as we await for a signal from the Sergeant at Arms presently in the chamber, as you can see them from your screens, allow me to take you through the business that has brought senators to the House this morning, being a number of bills as well as motions. This morning, the Speaker of the Senate will also be communicating to the members, courtesy of the messages from the Speaker of the National Assembly on the passage of the National Assembly of the Public Service Internship Bill. This is National Assembly Bills number 63 of the year 2022. And the other message coming from the National Assembly pertains the passage by the National Assembly of the Basic Education Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bills number 59 of the year 2023. Among the papers that are set to be laid this morning, pursuant to the Senate resolution of Tuesday, 11th of November 2025, on the referral of statutory instruments and papers submitted during recess. Remember, the Senate is resuming business, this being the second day after the resumption of the normal business of the House. And a number of papers that are set to be laid this morning include the report of the Office of the Control of Budget on the National Government's Budget Implementation Review for the 3 months of the financial year 2025-2026. The other is the report of the control of budget on the county government's budget implementation review for the first 3 months of the financial year 2025-2026. Equally, the fourth, the report of the Public Service Commission, PSC, on the status of compliance of the public service with values and principles in Articles 10 and 232 of the Constitution, is also lined up for tabling this morning. The annual report of the Public Service Commission, PSC, for the year 2024-2025, the National Authority for the Campaign Against Alcohol and Drug Abuse, NACADA 22nd edition of biannual report on the status of alcohol and drug abuse in Kenya, is also set for a tabling this morning. The Vice Chairperson of the Mediation Committee on the consideration of the report of the Mediation Committee on the Coffee Bill, Senate Bills number 10 of the year 2023, is set to move a notice of motion this morning. The notice of motion is that the Senate adopts the report of the Mediation Committee on the Coffee Bill, Senate Bills number 10 of the year 2023, that was laid on the table of the Senate on Thursday, the 4th of December 2025, and that pursuant to Article 113, subsection 2 of the Constitution, and Standing Orders number 167, subsection 3 of the Senate, approves the mediated version of the bill. Our dear viewers, what happens when we have the mediation committee is that the Senate appoints a number of senators, and the National Assembly will appoint a similar number of members of the National Assembly who will be sitting in what is called a mediation committee to address issues of concern raised by the House that has rejected a particular bill coming from the other House, or that is seeking concurrence of the other House. And the committee, being the mediation committee, will be sitting, addressing issues of concern, and upon reaching a consensus, reports to the House for approval or adoption. In this case, the bill in question is the Coffee Bill, a bill that originated from the House of the Senate, Bill number 10 of the year 2023, but upon the consideration by the National Assembly, members raised some reservation, prompting the creation or appointment of members to sit in the mediation committee to agree on the issues that were of concern to the members. And that is why we have the mediation committee bringing up the consideration of the report coming from that mediation process on the Coffee Bill. The report of the Standing Committee on Labor, Social Welfare on a petition to the Senate by employees of the former Kenya Cooperative Creameries Limited, KCC, concerning the non-payment of outstanding terminal benefits of Maziwa Circle, of the outstanding terminal benefits of Maziwa Circle dues to former employees of the Kenya Cooperative Creameries, is also lined up for consideration, courtesy of the notices of motion, where the chairperson, Standing Committee on Labor and Social Welfare, will be moving that notice of motion for the Senate to adopt the report of the Standing Committee on Labor and Social Welfare that considered the petition to the Senate by employees of the former KCC concerning the non-payment of outstanding terminal benefits and Maziwa Circle dues to the former employees of KCC. The report, following the consideration of that petition to the Senate to intervene, was laid on the table of the Senate on the 27th day of November, the year being 2025.
Sergeant at Times kindly ring the quorum bell for further 10 minutes.
Amesema nini? We have an additional minutes added by the Speaker for the House to raise quorum. Remember, we need about 15 senators to be in the House for the House to consider a number of business before it. The standing orders on quorum, standing orders number 40, are the standing orders guiding the House, or guiding the Speaker in this case, on matters quorum. The first 10 minutes allocated has lapsed, and owing to the powers given to the Speaker by the House standing orders, an additional 10 minutes have been added. We have an extra 10 minutes to see if the House will be raising quorum to commence with business before it. But that notwithstanding, the County Wards Equitable Development Bill of the year 2024, Senate Bills number 20, that aims to institutionalize equitable development by establishing a legal framework for the allocating of funds directly to ward-based projects, is coming up for debate this morning. This is a bill sponsored by the Senator for Kiambu, Senator Karungo Thangwa, in conjunction with the Senator for Vihiga County, Senator Godfrey Otsosi. And this is a bill that is seeking to mandate for the equitable resource distribution across all wards in a county, enhancing community participation in the projects. And this participation is in regards to the enhancement of community participation in the selection of projects and strengthening oversight on fund utilization to promote grassroots development. The bill mandates that county budgets and plans must show how resources are distributed among wards. And this whole bill aims to reduce the often criticized excessive power of governors over the development funds. The Senate Standing Committee on Finance and Budget has been reviewing the bill and gathering stakeholders' input in regards to this bill before the bill found itself on the floor of the Senate for consideration. This is a bill that is seeking to further streamline operations and in regards to the allocation of funds to various ward in various counties. Remember, in the prior financial years, we've had members of the county assemblies complaining that they have to sing to the tune of the governor for them to have development funds allocated to their wards. And this bill is seeking to have that being a thing of the past, as ward development funds will now become law upon the passage or adoption of this bill by the Senate, and going through the 3 stages of the bill and finally the ascension for it to become law. Primarily, the bill is seeking to promote the decentralization of development within counties by creating a framework for identifying projects that are beneficial to the residents of the respective wards in a county generally, and providing a framework for the implementation of such projects. This bill, sponsored by the Senator for Vihiga and the Senator for Kiambu County, is premised on Article 174 of the Constitution, which sets out the objects of devolution, among them being to give powers to self-governments to the people the issue here is giving power of self-governance to the people and enhance the participation of the people in the exercise of the powers of the state and in making decisions affecting them. The bill does not delegate legislative powers, nor does it limit the fundamental rights of freedom. And it seeks to provide for a framework for the identification development projects within counties and wards, and the modalities for the allocation of resources for these projects. In a nutshell, the County Wards Equitable Development Bill, sponsored by the Senator for Kiambu, in conjunction with the Senator for Vihiga County, is seeking to streamline our development from the county level all the way to the small states of development, if you may call them, the wards, where the members of the wards or ward level will, in conjunction with the county government or the county executive and members of the public moving forward, be deciding on the areas that are to be given priority when it comes to development at the county level. The Kenya National Council for Population and Development, National Assembly Bills number 72 of the year 2023, is also coming up for debate this morning. Away from that, we will be having the Senate or senators this morning debating the Narcotic Drugs and Psychotic Substances Control Amendment Bill, Bill number 1 of the year 2024, by Senator Kathure Murungi, that is seeking to address the issues of drug and the uses of psychotropic substances in the country, and basically curbing the issues of drug abuse.
Senator Rice. Honorable Senators, there being no quorum and having rung the bell pursuant to the provisions of Standing Order 42, the Senate stands adjourned until later today, Wednesday, 11th of February 2026 at 2:30 p.m.
This House orders that each speech in a debate on bills not sponsored by a committee, the leader of the majority party or the leader of the minority party, be limited as follows: a maximum of 3 hours and 30 minutes, with not more than 30 minutes for the mover in moving and 10 minutes in replying, a maximum of 30 minutes for the chairperson of the relevant committee, and a maximum of 10 minutes for any other member speaking except the leader of the majority party and the leader of the minority party, who shall be limited to a maximum of 15 minutes each, and that priority in speaking be accorded to the leader of the majority party, the leader of the minority party, and the chairperson of the relevant departmental committee in that order. And Honorable Speaker, again being a procedural motion, I beg to move and request the member for Mwatate, the only Honorable Dan Mwashako, member for Wundanyi, the Honorable Dan Mwashako, to second.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and thank you, Majority Leader. I want to take this opportunity to second. Thank you.
Honorable members, I now propose the question that pursuant to the provisions of Standing Order 97-1, this House orders that each speech in a debate on bills not sponsored by a committee, the leader of majority or the leader of minority party be limited as follows: a maximum of 3 hours and 30 minutes, with not more than 30 minutes for the mover in moving and 10 minutes in replying. A maximum of 30 minutes for the chairperson of the relevant committee, and a maximum of 10 minutes for any other member speaking, except the leader of majority party and the leader of minority party, who shall be limited to a maximum of 15 minutes each, and that priority in speaking be accorded to the leader of majority party and the leader of minority party and the chairperson of the relevant departmental committee in that order. May I put the question? Yes. Honorable members, I now put the question that pursuant to the provisions of Standing Order 97-1, this House orders that each speech in a debate on bills not sponsored by the committee, the leader of majority party or the leader of minority party be limited as follows. A maximum of 3 hours and 30 minutes, with not more than 30 minutes for the mover in moving and 10 minutes in replying, a maximum of 30 minutes for the chairperson of the relevant committee, and a maximum of 10 minutes for any other member speaking except the leader of majority party and the leader of minority party, who shall be limited to a maximum of 15 minutes each, and that priority in speaking be accorded to the leader of majority party, the leader of minority party, and the chairperson of the relevant departmental committee in that order. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many as of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. Next order.
Order number 10, procedural motion, limitation of debate on motions.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I beg to move that pursuant to the provisions of Standing Order 97(1), this House orders that each speech in a debate on any motion, including a special motion, be limited in the following manner: a maximum of 3 hours with not more than 20 minutes for the mover and 10 minutes for any other member speaking, except the leader of the majority party and the leader of the minority party, who shall be limited to a maximum of 15 minutes each, and that 10 minutes before the expiry of the time, the mover shall be called upon to reply, and that priority in speaking be accorded to the leader of the majority party, the leader of the minority party, and the chairperson of the relevant committee in that order. Honorable Speaker, again, this is a procedural motion, and I beg to move, and I wish to request the Honorable Moses Okoth Omondi, the newest member of parliament for Ugunja. Honorable Speaker, who you can note is very keen and very diligent in his work. In this new session here, he was among the very first people to be here this morning. I beg to request that the Honorable Moses does second. I can see he's following in the former members, the Cabinet Secretary for Energy's footsteps, and fitting in very well. And I believe he will do a splendid job for the people of Ugunja. Honorable Moses Okoth can second.
Thank you, Madam Speaker and Majority Leader. Take this opportunity, Madam Speaker, to second the motion. Thank you.
Thank you. Honorable members, I now propose the question that pursuant to the provisions of Standing Order 97(1), this House orders that each speech in the debate on any motion, including a special motion, be limited in the following manner: a maximum of 3 hours with not more than 20 minutes for the mover and 10 minutes for any other member speaking, except the leader of majority party and the leader of minority party, who shall be limited to a maximum of 15 minutes each, and 10 minutes before the expiry of the time, the mover shall be called upon to reply, and that priority in speaking be accorded to the leader of majority party, the leader of minority party, and the chairperson of the relevant committee in that order. Thank you. I'll now put the question. Honorable members, I now put the question that pursuant to the provisions of Standing Order 97(1), this House orders that each speech in a debate on any motion, including a special motion, be limited in the following manner: a maximum of 3 hours with not more than 20 minutes for the mover and 10 minutes for any other member speaking, except the leader of majority party and the leader of minority party, who shall be limited to a maximum of 15 minutes each, and that 10 minutes before the expiry of the time, the mover shall be called upon to reply, and that priority in speaking be accorded to the leader of the majority party, the leader of the minority party, and the chairperson of the relevant departmental committee in that order. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many as of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. Next order.
Order number 11, procedural motion, limitation of debate on reports of audit committees.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I beg to move that pursuant to the provisions of Standing Order 97 on this House orders that each speech in debate on reports of audit committees be limited as follows: a maximum of 60 minutes for the mover in moving and 30 minutes in replying, and a maximum of 10 minutes for any other member speaking, except the leader of the majority party and the leader of the minority party, who shall be limited to a maximum of 15 minutes each, and that priority be accorded to the leader of the majority party, the leader of the minority party, in that order. Honorable Speaker, I beg to move and request the Honorable member for Embu County, the Honorable Double End, to second this motion.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, and I second. Thank you.
Thank you. Honorable members, honorable members, I now propose the question that pursuant to the provisions of Standing Order 97, this House orders that each speech in debate on reports of audit committees be limited as follows. A maximum of 60 minutes for the mover in moving and 30 minutes in replying, and a maximum of 10 minutes for any other member speaking except the leader of majority party, the leader of minority party, and who shall be limited to the maximum of 15 minutes each, and that priority be accorded to the leader of majority party and the leader of minority party in that order. The mood of the House that I put the question. Honorable members, I now put the question that pursuant to the provisions of Standing Order 97.1, this House orders that each speech in debate on reports of audit committees be limited as follows. A maximum of 60 minutes for the mover in moving, 30 minutes in replying, and a maximum of 10 minutes for any other member speaking, except the leader of majority party and the leader of minority party, who shall be limited to 15 minutes each. And that priority be accorded to the leader of majority party and the leader of minority party in that order. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Will as many as of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. Next order.
Order number 12, procedural motion, limitation of debate on other committee reports.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I beg to move that pursuant to the provision of Standing Order 97.1, this House orders that each speech in a debate on other committee reports, including a report of a joint committee of the House of Parliament or any other report submitted to the House for which limitation of time has not been specified, shall be limited as follows. A maximum of 2.5 hours with not more than 20 minutes for the mover in moving and 5 minutes for any other member speaking, including the leader of the majority party and the leader of the minority party and the chairperson of the relevant committee, if the committee report is not moved by the chairperson of the relevant committee. And that 10 minutes before the expiry of the time, the mover shall be called upon to reply. And further, that priority in speaking shall be accorded to the leader of the majority party, the leader of the minority party, in that order. Honorable Speaker, again, being a procedural motion, I beg to move and I request the Honorable Cynthia Muge, the county women rep for Nandi, that has never been short of indomitable female leaders. This is the land of Chelagat Mutai and great leaders like the late Marie Seronei. And now we have a new lioness of Nandi County, the Honorable Cynthia Muge, to second.
Correction, Chelagat Mutai was Member of Parliament for Eldoret North, which was later held by the current sitting head of state. So she's from Wasingishu County. You may proceed. Nevertheless, I acknowledge that Cynthia Muge is the lioness of Nandi County. Thank you.
She was a 90. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. And I think there's a new debate altogether. But Honorable Speaker, allow me to second this motion and put the record straight that I was the honorable member of the County Assembly for Chelagat Mutai, and I actually know her home, and I know the brother, who is the late John Mutai, the first man in Nandi County to be cremated, Honorable Speaker. So I'm legitimately not just a neighbor, but I was a member of County Assembly for Chelagat Mutai, the great. So we carry the spirit of Chelagat Mutai.
Yes, I did. Please second.
Yeah, Honorable Speaker, I started with the most important business, which is I second the motion as moved by the Honorable Majority Leader. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Honorable members, I now propose the question that pursuant to the provisions of Standing Order 97.1, this House orders that each speech in a debate on other committee reports, including the report of the Joint Committee of the Houses of Parliament or any other report submitted to the House for which limitation of time has not been specified, shall be limited as follows. A maximum of 2.5 hours with not more than 20 minutes for the mover in moving and 5 minutes for any other member speaking, including the leader of majority party and the leader of minority party, and the chairperson of the relevant committee. If the committee report is not moved by the chairperson of the relevant committee, and at 10 minutes before the expiry of the time, the mover shall be called upon to reply, and further, that priority in speaking shall be accorded to the leader of majority party and the leader of minority party in that order. I now put the question that pursuant to the provisions of Standing Order 97.1, this House orders that each speech in a debate on other committee reports, including a report of the Joint Committee of the Houses of Parliament, or any other report submitted to the House for which limitation of time has not been specified, shall be limited as follows. A maximum of 2.5 hours with not more than 20 minutes for the mover in moving and 5 minutes for any other member speaking, including the leader of majority party and the leader of minority party and the chairperson of the relevant committee. If the committee report is not moved by the chairperson of the relevant committee, and at 10 minutes before the expiry of the time of the mover, the mover shall be called upon to reply, and further, that the priority in speaking shall be accorded to the leader of majority party and the leader of minority party in that order. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many as of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. And Majority Leader, let me just also reconfirm this. Jan Mutai was a very senior employee in Shell Kenya. I was one of his first interns, and he was my chief campaigner in Uasin Gishu County. Their ancestral home may be in Nandi County, but they chose to be elected and to vote in Uasin Gishu County. So that is still my claim to fame. Okay, can we move to the next motion? We shall carry that outside. Majority Leader, you shall be the moderator of this argument and debate. Thank you.
Order number 13, procedural motion, limitation of debate on the address by the President.
Honorable Speaker, on a light note, I doubt I will be a neutral arbiter in that battle between Uasin Gishu and Nandi County on who hails from where, whose ancestral land was where. Because, Honorable Speaker, I cannot be a neutral arbiter because my ancestral land is also in Nandi County. That is the land where my mother was born in Kipchamoti Estate in Nandi Hills. I therefore want to recuse myself from being an arbiter on that matter.
You are hereby duly disqualified.
I definitely cannot be a neutral arbiter in that matter. I have deep interest in Nandi County being my ancestral home, despite also having been elected in Kikuyu constituency in Kiambu County, in the Mount Kenya region. Honorable Speaker, I beg to move that, noting that Standing Order 24.6 provides that debate on a motion on the address by the President shall be limited to not more than 4 sitting days, and pursuant to the provision of Standing Order 97.1, this House orders that debate on a motion on the address by His Excellency the President under Article 132(1)(a) of the Constitution shall be limited as follows. A maximum of 30 minutes for the mover in moving, 20 minutes for the leader of the minority party, and 10 minutes each to the chairperson of the Department Committee on Justice and Legal Affairs to speak on the report submitted under Article 132(1)(ci) of the Constitution relating to the realization of the national values. The chairperson of the Departmental Committee on Defense, Intelligence and Foreign Relations to speak on the report submitted under Article 132(1)(c)(3). Sorry, first article was 132(c)(1), not I. And now a report submitted under Article 132(c)(3) of the Constitution relating to the progress made in fulfilling the international obligations of the Republic. And the chairperson of the Departmental Committee on Administration and Internal Security to speak on the report submitted under Article 240, Sub-Article 7 of the Constitution relating to the state of the security of the country, and 5 minutes for any other member speaking, and that 10 minutes before the expiry of the time, the mover shall be called to reply. And I beg to move and request my junior at the school and member for Kitutu Masaba, the Honorable Clive Ombane Gisairo, to second, having gone to the school.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Yeah, for those who are asking the school, there's only one school in Kenya, and that's Alliance High School. Honorable Speaker, I second.
You forgot to start with the title, The Alliance, as the Majority Leader constantly reminds us. Honorable members, I now propose the question that noting that Standing Order 24.6 provides a debate on a motion on the address of the President shall be limited to not more than 4 sitting days, and pursuant to the provisions of Standing Order 97.1, this House orders that the debate on a motion on the address by His Excellency the President under Article 132(1)(a) of the Constitution shall be limited as follows. A maximum of 30 minutes for the mover in moving, 20 minutes for the Leader of Majority Party, and 10 minutes each to the Chairperson of the Departmental Committee on Justice and Legal Affairs to speak on the report submitted under Article 132(1)(ci) of the Constitution relating to the realization of the national values, and the Chairperson of the Departmental Committee on Defense, Intelligence, and Foreign Affairs to speak on the report submitted under Article 132(1)(c)(3) of the Constitution relating to the progress made in fulfilling the international obligations of the Republic of Kenya. And the Chairperson of the Departmental Committee on the Administration and Internal Security to speak on the report submitted under Article 247 of the Constitution relating to the state of security of the country, and 5 minutes for any other member speaking, and that 10 minutes before the expiry of the time, the mover shall be called upon to reply. Honorable members, I now put the question that noting that Standing Order 24.6 provides that the debate on a motion on the address of the President shall be limited to not more than 4 sitting days, and pursuant to the provisions of Standing Order 97.1, this House orders that the debate on a motion on the address by His Excellency the President under Article 132(1)(a) of the Constitution shall be limited as follows. A maximum of 30 minutes for the mover in moving, 20 minutes for the Leader of Minority Party, and 10 minutes each to the Chairperson of the Departmental Committee on Justice and Legal Affairs to speak on the reports submitted under Article 132(1)(ci) of the Constitution relating to the realization of national values. And then the Chairperson of the Departmental Committee of Defense, Intelligence, and Foreign Relations to speak on the report submitted under Article 132(1)(c)(3) of the Constitution relating to the progress made in fulfilling the international obligations of the Republic of Kenya. And the Chairperson of the Departmental Committee on Administration and Internal Security to speak on the report submitted under Article 247 of the Constitution relating to the state of the security of the country, and 5 minutes for any other member speaking, and that 10 minutes before the expiry of the time, the mover shall be called upon to reply. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many as of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. Next order.
Order number 14, the Sexual Offences Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 50 of 2025, first reading. A bill for an act of parliament to amend the Sexual Offences Act and for connected purposes. Order number 15, the Environmental Professionals Institute of Kenya Bill, National Assembly Bill number 36 of 2024, second reading, resumption of debate.
Who was the last person to speak? Did they have any minutes left? Okay, honorable members, because it's a new year, we can just remind you that it was moved by the Honorable George Gashagwa, and then then seconded by the Honorable Timothy Toroitich. And then after that, we had several people participate. So there was the chairperson of the committee, there was the Honorable Sane, the Honorable Irene Mayaka, and the Honorable Gishimo Gidinji. And I think he had no balance of time. So now this is open for debate. And we still have a balance of 2 hours, 58 minutes. So those members who want to participate in this debate, could you kindly press the intervention button so I can give you an opportunity? But before we proceed, allow me to recognize one of the schools that are our guests this morning. Honorable members, I wish to recognize the presence of the following school: ACK St. Michael Model School from Kajiado North Constituency, Kajiado County, who are seated in the public gallery. On behalf of the substantive speaker, the members of the National Assembly, and myself, we wish to welcome you to Parliament. Thank you. Okay, those members who are, okay, the Honorable James Nyikal.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I rise to support this bill, but with a bit of caution. Madam Speaker, the object of this bill is to establish an institute of environmental professionals, and as is in clause 4. But Madam Speaker, as we do that, and as that may be desirable, we have to realize that this is actually creation of a saga. And as we know, we are actually trying to reduce the number of sagas that we have that may require funding from the state coffers. Although in this one, there's also again the issue that they're actually not asking for any funding from that. All the same, that is actually an issue that we should look at. But again, if we then look at the issue of its funding, it seeks to state that the funding will actually, if you look at clause 37 of this bill, it is indicating that the funding will actually come from the activities of this institution, of this institute, and the activities basically will be licensing and regulation of professionals. But this will definitely have an impact on what they do. The environmental professionals are actually very important in our development. When you look at people who are setting up businesses, they're always required to have environmental impact assessment. If you look at development projects, it's all required that there must be environmental development, environmental impact assessment. So to a large extent, it's going to have an impact on many, many institutions that are being put in place. If they are not going to be funded from the state coffers or from the treasury, it means they are going to raise funds from these projects. And that actually brings an issue that actually they may have higher costs that will affect this. But more so if you are talking of business people, particularly people who are starting small business institutions, small business plans, and if they are going to depend totally on the money that they collect from this, we may find ourselves that creating another deterrent to development of business, because this will actually be charged on those people who are trying to set up businesses. So we really have to be very careful about that. And we have seen in the past, even to take example in the health sector, which I know well, the issue of the levies that are put by these regulatory authorities actually become an important cost factor. And so that is something we should look at very, very carefully. The other issue, Madam Speaker, that I really need to speak about is the issue of training. And before they train these professionals, they have to be defined. Who is an environmental professional? And if you get into clause 2, you find a very broad definition, Madam Speaker. Environmental professional means a person who has successfully undertaken a degree course in the field of environment, natural resources, earth sciences, research. Madam Speaker, this is really a broad area, and all these people to actually put them to lump them together and then put a training program for them. If you look at the functions of the institute again in clause 4G, you find that they'll develop and facilitate training programs. And if you look at all those areas, if you are going to have one training program, that will be very difficult. There'll be training programs in very many fields. If you look at the earth sciences, if you look at the natural sciences, I mean, that is basically whether you are talking of biology, you are talking of geography, you are talking of physics and so on. So all those are one. So we may face a challenge in developing a program of their training. And how will this relate with the Commission of University Education? Again, we are finding ourselves currently that we are having some problems between the regulatory bodies and the Commission for University Education. And it does appear to me that already as we are starting this, we are actually having an areas where these conflicts will occur. So this is a good thing, and I think, Madam Speaker, it is something we should look at very carefully, and when we come to the committee of the whole House, when we'll be doing amendments, I think we need to look at it very deeply, because there are two areas, those two areas I've mentioned. How does this institute raise funds? And if people are charged, how does that affect development projects? Whether these are government development projects or whether these are business people trying to set up business projects. So will the cost be higher because these people are trying to raise funds? And then when you go to the issue of training, the definition is so broad that very many people will then call themselves these professionals. How will that training then be regulated? With those few remarks, Madam Speaker, I do support, but we'll need to look at very serious amendments when we come to the committee of the whole House. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honourable Member for Kandui, Honourable John Makali.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for the opportunity to also weigh in on this particular bill. First, let me congratulate the member who has brought this bill at this particular time. In bringing this particular bill, Madam Speaker, I need to make reference to Article 42 of the Constitution of Kenya that obliges each and every citizen, that entitles each and every citizen to a healthy environment which is protected both for the present and future generations. Article 42 obliges us to take legislative measures towards the achievement of this particular goal. And in Article 42, reference is made to Article 69 of our Constitution that ensures that we must take steps to ensure sustainable exploitation, utilization, and management and conservation of the environment and natural resources. Each and every year, Madam Speaker, our educational institutions, specifically our universities and our TVET colleges, churn out graduates in areas of environmental management, resource management, and natural resource exploitation. The last time, Madam Speaker, I checked, we have over 40 educational institutions that are churning out graduates each and every year who are trained in this particular field. The question is, as these people are being churned out into the job market, who is regulating their work? It is important, Madam Speaker, that this particular legislation seeks now to set up a legislative framework that will be able to supervise and control these professionals who are being churned out from our public universities and colleges towards the area of the environment. Madam Speaker, in most of these particular professions we have had quacks, people who are not licensed, people who are not qualified, acting and masquerading as professionals. This particular legislation seeks to bring in a regulatory framework. And Madam Speaker, the benefits of having a regulatory framework cannot be overemphasized. We will have quality work being done, supervision, licensing. And this is critical for the ordinary Mwananchi who has to rely on experts to enable him participate in nation building. Madam Speaker, I have looked at the Act, and the Act defines an environmental professional in a very broad terms. And like other speakers have said, during the period of the committee stage, we will need to relook at that particular definition of who is an environmental professional, because it's only limiting an environmental professional to somebody who has a degree. And we have our TVET institutions that are producing people who have diplomas and certificates in matters environment. We'll need to look at that particular definition of who qualifies to be an environmental professional. Madam Speaker, when we look at section 19 of the Act, of the proposed of this bill, it sets out cadres of membership. And it introduces a very critical class of membership known as corporate members. And when we look at the definition of an environmental professional, it means a person who has successfully undertaken a degree. It implies a natural person. But when you look at the provisions of section 19, it brings in a corporate membership, which Madam Speaker, will need to relook at when we will be looking at, when we will be in the committee of the whole House. Madam Speaker, it is important that we have this particular area regularized and ensure that there isn't any conflict with the existing legislation, because we have the Environmental Management and Coordination Act, which has several provisions towards regulation of this profession in the environmental area. We will need, Madam Speaker, during the committee of the whole House, to relook so that we avoid any conflict with the existing legislation that will lead to duplicity in the terms of application of this particular proposed bill. Over and above all, Madam Speaker, the intention of the bill is honest. It seeks to enhance professional accountability and eliminate unqualified environmental practitioners. Madam Speaker, you realize that in the rural areas, if you have to do up a house, if you have to do any project, you have to get consent from the environmental authorities. Once we can have professionals in this particular area, Madam Speaker, we'll be able to straighten up the operations in our rural areas. And Madam Speaker, also, this bill seeks to strengthen environmental decision-making. It sets up a council which will be able to, do international linkages. We are not an island. We need to do international linkages and have connectivity with our neighbors. So, Madam Speaker, the bill is well-intentioned. We will have better compliance with environmental issues and standards. We'll have stronger institutional capacity for sustainable development and protection of the public interest and constitutional right to a clean environment. With those remarks, Madam Speaker, I wish to support this bill and urge that we will, at the committee of the stage, will be proposing some amendments to fine-tune the bill alongside the other legislation which is in place, Madam Speaker. I support, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable George Murugara, member for Tharaka Nithi. But also members, I only see that the only person left is Honorable Murugara. Kindly press the intervention button if you want to contribute to this debate. Proceed, Honorable Murugara.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I also rise to support this bill. It's a very important bill by namesake, Honorable George Gachagua of Ndaragwa. And especially because today, as we debate and talk about any matter in the country, environment always takes a center stage. We cannot do any plans for development. We cannot do any matters regarding improvement of physical areas without talking about environment. In this country, there are various laws that govern environmental matters, and the prime one is the Environmental Management and Coordination Act, which deals with how we have to deal with environment and all matters touching on our environment, including our forests, our water, and our marine life. Honorable Speaker, when we talk about environment, we include our climate, and this is why there is a big debate in the world today as we talk about climate change. This is purely environmental, and it must be borne in mind when we are discussing such a vital bill. We also have to talk about mining, because our minerals and petroleum products are part of our environment and environmental resources. Therefore, it is vitally important that we commit issues environment to an entity, to a body, to an institute like what is being proposed here, so that experts in environment can come under one roof, and when it comes to us Kenyans to enjoy services on matters environment, we know where to call. We can go to an institute and we shall get professional advice on who most suits to give advice on what is in issue. Of course, there are other laws, including the Physical Planning Act. We have the County Governments Act, and all these other laws that regulate matters environment. What is being proposed here is that just like the Human Resources Institute, which was actually formed the other day, the experts in environment too have to have their own self-regulating body, and therefore it joins the class of the Law Society of Kenya, the Architectural Association of Kenya, the Engineers Registration Board, and all these professionals that have a body that regulates them. So what would be the purpose of this body? Number one is to ensure that we are properly advised, we are properly guided in matters relating environment. We do not have to be taken round in circles. You've seen people coming over and they are telling us, we are going to sell to you things called carbon credits, etc., etc. Some of which we really do not have the know-how. We do not have the knowledge of weighing and waiting to know whether these are viable projects or they are just people out to make money using us without our knowledge. Such an institute would actually be the first port of call, and the government, in regulating such entities coming into the country, would be getting advice from this body, because most important, it will be there to render advisory services to the government and to Kenyans to ensure that we are well informed on matters environment. I therefore support this bill. We will look at it close by close in the committee of the whole house. If there are any necessary amendments that have to be made, we will be proposing this so that we come up with one of the best laws to govern a professional body that deals with the environment. Most important, the persons who will belong to this institute must be qualified persons. Persons we will term as professional experts in matters environment. Those remarks I beg to support.
Thank you, Honorable Murgara. Member for Marakwet East, Honorable David Bowen. Kangogo.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to support a bill by my good friend, the Honorable Pondarakwa. That is the Environmental Professional Institute of Kenya Bill, the National Assembly Bill number 36 of 2024. Madam Speaker, our environment is very important both in our lives as human beings and also to the animals. And Madam Speaker, I want to thank the Honorable Kashagwa for this bill, which goes towards providing a legal framework and to professionalize the profession. Madam Speaker, we have seen there are so many individuals out there calling themselves professional environment field. No one knows their backgrounds. No one knows their education. And Madam Speaker, if this bill is approved by this House and passed, is going to make sure that we have a competent people to manage our environment and environmental issues. Madam Speaker, the issue of environmental impact analysis is very critical in construction sector, especially in industry constructions. Madam Speaker, some years back, you saw what happened in Mombasa, in a place called the Owino Uhuru or Uhuru Owino Estate, somewhere in Mombasa, where a chemical industry, an industry which is manufacturing lead, was constructed, Madam Speaker, in an estate where people live. And it is not that there was no environmental impact analysis which was done in that industry. But years later, Madam Speaker, we saw people developing a serious life-threatening diseases as a result of that industry. Because, Madam Speaker, probably you would find that the people who carried out the environmental impact analysis were not qualified. Or even if they were qualified, there were some elements or there was need for a council or someone more above them who are able to analyze that actually what they did was good and the industry or the factory which was supposed to come up from there was not only supporting the people in terms of livelihood employment, but also it was not emitting a poisonous substance to the environment. Madam Speaker, it is very important when we are doing a physical planning of a city, of a municipal council or everything, these people also, they are needed. We have seen, Madam Speaker, if you go around the Nairobi, the reason why we are crying about the pollution in Nairobi River, Madam Speaker, you will find that there are so many industries, there are factories who are actually disposing waste to the river. But at the same time, you are told that those factories, there was some environmental impact analysis which was done. And what happened? If it is true that there were some people, some professional guys who did it, what came out of that report? And why is it that we are having a problem? So, Madam Speaker, this bill is going to streamline the environment or environmentalist professionals and to make sure that we eliminate quacks and have professionals in the field. Madam Speaker, in the field of mining, if you go to the parts of, say, West Pokot, Madam Speaker, the western part of those sides of Viga, people are mining haphazardly. The environmentalists, Madam Speaker, including the Taita Taveta from, I see my good friend looking at me, there is need to have those environmental impact analysis to say, after the mining, what remains to the environment? What is going to happen to the environment? Yes, the mining is good, but there must be a provision that this mining will not affect the environment, and even after the mining, there is need to restore the environment to the original position. So, Madam Speaker, this is a very important bill, and if you look at other professionals, of other professions, Madam Speaker, the LSK, the Engineers Board of Kenya, the Nursing Council, the Clinical Council, all those bodies which have actually been are registered and, you know, they have their professional body, they have had a legal and a policy framework. Madam Speaker, you can see that what they are doing and the work they are doing there is really very good. So, Madam Speaker, I want to say that and also ask all my colleagues that We support this bill, especially at this time when we have a serious environmental and climate issues around the globe. This bill is very important to help us and our people, and also to help in the environmental management, and also including the waste management, which has been also a problem, especially in our cities. Madam Speaker, with those many remarks, I want to support.
Before we proceed, allow me to recognize student guests in Parliament, in the National Assembly today. I wish to recognize the presence of the following school: Jonathan Gloward Academy from Langata constituency, Nairobi County, who are seated in the public gallery. And on behalf of the National Assembly, I shall call upon the Honorable Member for Wundanyi, Honorable Mwashoko, to welcome them on our behalf.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving me an opportunity to welcome students and pupils from Jonathan Gloward Academy.
And to the students, when you're recognized, you should actually rise in acknowledgement. So you can do that, and then you just rise. Yes. And Sergeant at Arms, make sure you always give them a brief. You now may be seated. We'll allow the Honorable Member to welcome you.
And thank you again, Madam Speaker, for this opportunity. Today I'm privileged that you've given me a chance to welcome these learners from JGA, Jonathan Gloward Academy, who are coming to visit Parliament for the first time. Honorable Speaker, I am also pleased to inform you that I'm also a parent in the same school. My son, Benaya Mwashako, is one of the learners who is sitting at the public gallery. Honorable Speaker, JGA, just maybe to give you a brief, is a school that combines, in fact, it was started to educate learners from the children homes, students that and peoples that did not have did not have anyone to support them. So JGA started in that manner, and it's combined then with students that would pay school fees, so that then those that are from not very able families can be able to be supported by those that could pay fees. Honorable Speaker, I know they are led by one of a very good teacher called Teacher Ken, among others, and they're here, Honorable Speaker, to just see and observe what happens in Parliament. But I want to say to the learners that we're excited to have you here, so feel welcome, feel part and parcel of this August House. You are the future of this country. I know a number of you may be yearning to become leaders, to become president, to become governors, to become members of parliament. You are in school today, but you'll not remain in school forever. In the near future, 10, 15, 20 years from now, some of you will find yourself in this house. So I want to take this opportunity to encourage you to be serious with your studies, be good children. I know you have been, JGA brings up kids that value values that, believe in God, and patriotic children that love their country. So love your country, love God, of course, respect your adults, respect your parents, respect your teachers, and above all, just know that your tomorrow must be better than today. You remain good, disciplined students, and remain good people, and we would, in the near future, you'll be the leaders of this country. Honorable Speaker, as I sit, we as leaders today, we have a duty to pass laws and policies in this house that respects the constitutional principle of intergenerational equity, so that as we exit the stage, these children should find Kenya as stable and solid as we found it. So we have a duty to make sure that we pass everything that we pass in this house. In everything we do, we must leave this country better for these children and these students, and every other child that will be born in this country will be proud that their fathers, their grandparents were able to anchor this country on stability, and in a manner that we defeat what we call tribalism. We must have one country, we must have one patriotic people, and we must, all of us, love to have one indivisible country. Thank you, Madam Speaker, for the opportunity.
Thank you, Honorable Member, for welcoming the guests on our behalf. And now I can see the Honorable, I'd seen the Honorable Edith Nyenze had a member for Kitui West. You wanted to contribute to this debate?
Not really, Madam, but,
okay.
but let me just take this opportunity to welcome the students and say that your MP has really put it very well. I wish you all the best in life, and we love you, and we are concerned about your welfare. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Nyenze. And the Honorable Member for Tindere, did you want to contribute? Proceed.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I rise to contribute this bill on the Environmental Protection Institute of Kenya bill, and this is a very important bill, Madam Speaker, on the following basis. That one, like all other bills that guide and develop professionalism in a country, the Kenya Professional Institute of the Environmental Professional Institute of Kenya is very important. If you look at the engineer's professional bill or the Institute of Surveyors bill and all the bills that guide and give directions on professionalism, on good governance, on good management and the development of a profession, this bill is very important. Madam Speaker, I want to thank Honorable Gachagua for giving us a very good bill. In this bill, he has indicated what in clauses 3 to 17, the Environmental Professional Institute of Kenya gives is actually going to be a corporate body. The body that is going to register, regulate, and exercise general supervision and control over professional developments and practice of registered environmentalists in Kenya. Every other time, we've had a number of what we call a professional impact assessment, or what we call environment impact assessment done by professionals, yet the outcome of it is very disastrous in this country. Yet an environmentalist of high standing, of repute, appended his signature or her signature, and when you go through what is going to come out of it, lives will be lost in terms of waste disposal, in terms of the impact is quite huge for the country. It is through this bill that the professionals are now going to be brought to book. It is through this bill that the professionals will be held accountable. And in fact, they can be deregistered, they can be penalized, and they can even be removed from the role of professionals as environmentalists. Madam Speaker, the issue of research is very important in any society. And research and development is key in development or in the growth of any professions and professional groups in a country. That the Institute is going to develop an arm in research on earth sciences, on environmental issues, and more importantly, on even accrediting and regulating the membership of the professionals. In fact, they have categorized professionals into various groups: fellows of the Institute, honorary members, and even members who have done quite commendable work within the society. In fact, Madam Speaker, I want to say that the bill is actually out there, and it is something that is going to talk about the climate change. These are issues that what we are facing today as a country and the world is the issue of climate change. I think most of our world leaders have been attending to world climate summits. And one of the problems that we are facing today is the mistakes that were done by not taking keen interest in what the professionals have been saying about the environment. Mining in this country, and even coming up with buildings along riverbanks, not taking into consideration our water catchment areas, more importantly the swamp and all those other issues, has actually caused what we call the warming up of the climate. The emissions that we get today, all these are as a result of advices that were given, but some professionals even decided to side with mining companies where they are now trying to pour waste into the waters, bring diseases among communities, and this particular body is going to regulate, register, and even deregister those kind of members. Lastly, honorable members, I want to say that as like other professions, I want to urge the member to note that issues concerning the environment be put, issues or penalties be really introduced into this particular bill. I've gone through the bill and realized that the Institute of Environmental Professionalists have not come out with very good penalties given to those who are giving us wrong professional advice, and more importantly, what they are going to do to make sure that those who have actually committed crimes in advising institutions, in advising government on environmental impact assessment, they actually are taken into, they are penalized. On the last part is the issue of foreign affiliations. I've also seen that this particular bill needs to look into the issue of affiliating to international professional bodies. That speaks into issues of environment and, more importantly, on research and biodiversity, carbon markets. We need to speak into it. It is a new area where the industrialized and the developed world are supposed to speak into the issue of carbon and carbon markets, which is now a very, very big area in terms of resources. But how do we, as developing countries who do not contribute a lot to the carbon emission, benefit a lot, because we are the ones actually who are the guardians of the environment and the universe. I thank you, and I thank the owner of the bill. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you very much, Chair. The Honorable Gladys Boss.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for this opportunity. I must thank our colleague, Honorable Gashagwa, for this bill, because it's very timely and very important. Actually, the entire environmental and ecological future of our country depends on regulating the professionals who give the environmental impact assessments. Currently, just in Nairobi is a ticking time bomb. Already, too many boreholes within the limited radius have been approved because the environmental impact assessment cleared it. And now we are informed reliably, and there's been many articles about it, that Nairobi will soon sink because there's a borehole underneath every tall building. Yet you're supposed to have a borehole within a certain area, and that radius should be able to use the same borehole. We also have seen what has happened. And particularly, casing example is Kilimani area and Parklands area. Buildings have been approved for construction up to 22 stories high, but the same sewer system is still being used. So you've increased the population and the buildings in the area by 1,000 times. Yet the road remains the same, the sewer system remains the same. There is no drainage that has been built. So even where the physical planning department of the county hall has had the environmental impact assessment should have picked it out so that it can prevent other people from clearing it. But if they say there is no environmental impact, or they give a positive report, then such buildings are cleared that are going to destroy our city. When you look at also what has happened, and I'm just giving the example of Nairobi, where, again, buildings have been built next onto the riparian zone. So what does that happen? When you see that in some parts of Nairobi, when it rains, and we saw it recently, when there is even rain upstream, you will see that by the time it gets downstream, it floods because nature will always fight back. The water will reclaim its space. Hence the reason why we had floods. We saw that some buildings that had been in the last year that had been put up, and they were clearly in a low-lying area that were not supposed to be approved for construction. Those houses were flooded. People lost their money. Some have taken 30-year-long mortgages to buy those houses, and they lost everything. And when you go back, it is the professional in environmental management that failed. But that is why it's important to regulate them. So that as a professional, they must belong to a professional body. They will be capable of disciplinary action by the professional body. They will be capable of being deregistered should they approve a building or construction or any item or clearances for development that is actually wrong and dangerous to our environment. It's also important for them to be in a professional body, because as a professional body, they will be required, as a professional registering in your professional body, you'll be required to take professional indemnity insurance, so that should you cause damage to your client or an account of your professional opinion, then there is a way of compensating those people who have suffered on account of your clearances. It's also important so that the more mistakes you make and the more cases against you, your insurance will become so high that you will not be capable of being a professional in that sense. I know that some of the members in this debate have raised the issue and said, how will it be funded? It's simple. When you belong to a professional body, you pay annual fees and you pay your license fees. That money is what will run the professional body. No government money has to be put into it. It's the same for Law Society of Kenya. It's the same for many other professions, the medical board, and so on. And therefore, this is a very timely bill. It is very, very urgent, and it is important that we begin to look at this. Even as professionals, they can be tasked as part of the bill. We should put in regulations that they actually should advise the government and the county governments during developments to advise, including the Ministry of Roads, when they are undertaking construction or infrastructure development. For example, we have the long-standing problem that we say that people have markets right at the roadside, or people are setting up directly at the roadside. We have buildings directly at the roadside. If we look at any other organized country, what happens is people exit the main road, and there is an area that is designated for putting up a shopping center. But it can't be along the entire road because it poses danger to members of the public. It also negates the purpose of having a highway if you are going to have bumps every short place. And therefore, we want to make sure that all professionals involved in any form of development, be it those in environmental management, civil engineers, and so on, also amend their laws. I know that civil engineers, electrical engineers, and so on have their professional bodies. But we also need to make amendments to the laws governing that professional body so that there is serious personal consequences on each professional when they give poor professional advice. And with that, I like to say that I will support this bill, and it's timely. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Paul Murigi, member for Igembe South.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, also I rise to support this bill and thank my friend Honorable Gashagua for coming up with this good bill, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, it has taken many years for this country to realize such institution, since currently there is no institution which regulates matters environment. But through this proposed bill, Madam Speaker, it will bring sanity in our environment, Madam Speaker. Of late, we have seen many things which are happening across the country, whereby some projects are undertaken, but those projects, because of lack of professionalism, Madam Speaker, those projects end up failing. So this bill, Madam Speaker, will bring sanity in the environment sector, whereby it will regulate the professionality or professionalism of the environment and the standard, Madam Speaker, whereby the qualified professionals, Madam Speaker, will be licensed as required by the law. And if there is any malpractice, Madam Speaker, there will be a body which can follow up, Madam Speaker, those irregularities, Madam Speaker. Also, it will beef up the confidence of the investors, Madam Speaker. Because currently, when the investor come to do investment in this country, they are not aware if maybe it is mining or maybe construction somewhere. They are not aware which body would they rely on. Or if something happens, Madam Speaker, they don't know where to run to. But currently, after the passing of this bill, the investors will be confident with with the sector of environment, Madam Speaker. Also, it will help to protect the interest of the community. Since, for example, Madam Speaker, you will get some investors or NGO selling carbon credit, Madam Speaker, without the awareness of the community. So through this institution, it will regulate who will be doing that work and how it will be done so that the community can get the benefit of the environment. Since the communities, Madam Speaker, some crooks are relying on the trees which are planted by the community through selling of the carbon credit because they know there is nobody which is regulating this sector, Madam Speaker. Also, after the setup of this institution, it will complement the current existing institution, Madam Speaker, that is NEMA, whereby these two sectors, if they collaborate and work together, they will bring light on the environment of this republic, Madam Speaker. With those few remarks, Madam Speaker, I beg to support this bill and urge my fellow colleagues to support this bill so that we can bring sanity on the environment of the republic. Thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Leo Wamodende. And before you speak, I would like to take this opportunity to welcome our guests seated in the public gallery this morning. We have students from Ikuu Girls High School, Chuka Igamba Ng'ombe constituency, Tharaka Nithi County. You are welcome to the National Assembly to continue observing proceedings of the House. Leo Wamudende also takes the opportunity to welcome students. I think that is also part of your region. Please try to trace Mheshimiwa.
Yeah.
And tomorrow make sure that you bring your card.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and I'll make sure I'll have my card tomorrow. I take this opportunity to welcome the students. As leaders today, we recognize your role as leaders for tomorrow, and you making steps towards coming here to observe us as we make laws, important laws that will guide your future. We take that as an indication that you are ready to be leaders, not just tomorrow, but even today, even at your school. So welcome, students. So, Madam Speaker, thanks again for this opportunity as I rise to support this bill, a very important bill, and I must thank my colleague, Honorable George, for introducing this bill. Environmental specialists or professionals play a very key role in Kenya and in the world, especially at this time when we are faced with various environmental challenges, including global warming, loss of species, biodiversity. So we need this institute to regulate professionals to ensure that any technical advice they give, any assessments they give are not only accurate but correct and ensures accountability. This bill is long overdue. It's actually quite timely, and I urge my colleagues to support this bill because environmental professionals play a key role, especially being that they are at an intersection between even public safety and policy as well. So when we have professionals that are regulated by a body that ensures anytime you go for licensing, you are even required to do courses that ensure professional development because the world is changing, the world is dynamic, technologies are changing, interventions and policies are changing. That will ensure we are protected as citizens. We also ensure that the professionals, as they do their work, these environment professionals have actually, they are faced with many issues of conflict of interest because you have a professional who is supposed to make a report for a client, which actually may, the report may promote harming of the public. We need to ensure that the professionals are guided by a code of conduct so that any professional who signs a report that later leads to damage to the environment or hinders public safety, they are held to account. I also support this bill because most professionals today, including medical doctors, engineers, lawyers, accountants, they all have regulatory bodies. And for environmental scientists and professionals who play a really key role in our country, to have no institute regulating their licensing is actually a big gap. And therefore, I support this bill and urge members to support the bill to ensure that we protect the future of this nation. And being a member from an area that has a lot of sand harvesting, we actually need these professionals so that we know when to start, when to stop. Because again, we have issues like sand harvesting, which are an economic booster to our people, but also harming the environment, causing soil erosion, degradation of rivers. So when these professionals give us advice at the local level, we know when to stop, when to start again, and ensure that we protect the environment. So I support this bill, and I urge members also to support and ensure it's passed so that we regulate professionals in this very important sector in our economy. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you very much, Wamudende. Honorable members, I do not see any further interest in this. Member for Nandi? I guess that will be the last on this. So, Member for Nandi?
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for the opportunity to contribute to this bill that has been brought to this Honorable House by the Honorable George. And Honorable George, we want to appreciate your proactiveness in regards to managing and actually being able to control, properly manage the professionals. Honorable Speaker, it would have been a very great injustice, being a physical planner by profession, not to be able to speak to this matter. And Honorable Speaker, the matters environment are matters that we live with every day. They are matters that affect us every step of the way. And Honorable Speaker, I was comparing what environmental assessment and even protection of the environment in regards to physical planning, which is exactly what happens every time that we want to touch issues to do with the environment. Honorable Speaker, if you look at the two items, physical planning is more proactive, and environmental assessment and actually trying to conserve the environment is a reactive action. And Honorable Speaker, if you asked me today, I would be holding this particular view that if we did physical planning properly because it's proactive, we will definitely be able to protect the environment without having to go through a lot of trouble. And I want to appreciate this, Honorable Speaker, because for the longest time we have had a lot of issues regarding developments that we really so want to have them done in this country and even the world over. But at the center of it, Honorable Speaker, there's always the environmental aspect of it. And this is a very important aspect of everything that we do in this life, Honorable Speaker. And I want to appreciate the Honorable George, because this bill, if you look at it, Honorable Speaker, it has been able to speak to so many issues and matters that has been conflicting all the time, Honorable Speaker. I am, however, worried, Honorable Speaker, because if you look at the things that this bill is looking at, and you look at the provisions that are given by NEMA and the regulations that are actually regulating the environmental matters in this country, you see a bit of similarities on them. And Honorable Speaker, I will be very keen to be able to sit through the Committee of the Whole while this bill is being prosecuted, because, Honorable Speaker, this is an opportunity as a country for us to get it right, for us to be able to bail the cats in the names of the professionals, Honorable Speaker, so that as we do any approvals, whether it is being done by the county government or by the national government, because, Honorable Speaker, the physical planning function has been divided according to the two levels of government, the national and the county government. And, Honorable Speaker, this bill gives us a perfect opportunity to be able to bail the cat, so that if there is a cat, Honorable Speaker, that makes a mistake in terms of the things that will impact the environment, we are able to then recognize them. We are able to then be able to give a proper punishment, because it is our business, Honorable Speaker, that as we develop our country infrastructurally and every other aspect of the development that we so want as a country, we must be cognizant of the fact that the environment must be protected every step of the way. So, Honorable Speaker, I must say that as a physical planner, we're sitting in this house, it will be of interest to me to be able to go through the Committee of the Whole, so that we have a bill that will be for posterity, Honorable Speaker, that will live beyond us and will help us protect the sanity of the professionalism and finally protect the environment, even as we do the developments that we need to do as a country. I support this bill, Honorable Speaker, and I appreciate the Honorable Member George for having thought about it and brought it to this floor of the House for debate. I support.
Thank you very much, Member for Nandi County. Honorable members, I do not see any further interest in this, so I'd like to call upon the mover to reply. Honorable Gachagua.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And from the onset, I want to appreciate and thank all those members who came out to support this bill. It is such an important bill, and I'm quite impressed that members are quite aware of what has not been happening in the field of environment. Madam Speaker, I was quite happy to note that most members can see the gap that has been there on matters environment. And even our Honorable Deputy Speaker, I could see that she was aware of how zoning has not been observed in a town like, city like Nairobi. Mostly the boreholes that are being sunk without observing the law. And the buildings that are coming up, say in Kilimani and such areas, without regard of the utilities, without regard of the planned infrastructure. Madam Speaker, I'm of the idea that during the Committee of the Whole House, what has been suggested by the members, Madam Speaker, we we make sure that we have included all that, and especially this issue of deregistering those professionals who give poor advice. I have heard members suggest that there should be some consequences of those members who come up with reports that don't measure up to the environmental standards. Madam Speaker, we can also handle that issue of that was raised by Honorable Nikal about the institute drawing money from the government. I would like to put it clear that this is not a saga. This is a professional body, just like LSK. And they will be self-regulating themselves. And, Madam Speaker, I want to put it clear that this organization has been there for the last 11 years. It is only that it had not been recognized by law. Madam Speaker, Honorable Honorable Cynthia noted something that is very, very, very important, and I don't know where that during the committee of the whole house, it will be an opportunity to get it right, matters environment, and to come up with a bill for posterity, and to right what has been wrong all along. Madam Speaker, I wish to repeat and again, those members who have shown that they have been aware that things were not right, and Honorable Kagogo have really reiterated that this professional body will bring about competent people handling matters environment. And he has cited some projects that have gone wrong, Madam Speaker, and especially in that estate in Mombasa, something Owino estate, where a company was handling lead, and there came a tragedy out of it. Madam Speaker, if good professional body personnel had carried out the EIAs, I believe that such occurrences could not have occurred. And it's a high time that we streamlined the environmental professional and avoid quacks, Madam Speaker. This professional body, there exists such bodies in other countries. We have countries like US and UK. In UK, we have Society for Environment. In USA, we have National Association of Environmental Professionals. In South Africa, we have Environmental Assessment Practitioners Association of South Africa. And even in Nigeria, Canada, Argentina, Singapore, among others. And it's the high time that these professional bodies exchange ideas. And there are some emerging issues, Madam Speaker, that should be tackled by these environmentalists. We have issues like carbon credit. Kenyans are not yet aware of what transpires in carbon credit management. We have loss of biodiversity and disruption of biodiversity, loss of species, climate change. These issues will be well tackled if we have a professional body that is concerned about environment. Madam Speaker, this bill has well indicated, pointed out who is to be an environmentalist, because we have had people coming up with reports and appending their signatures to reports that eventually don't measure up to good reports. Madam Speaker, with this one, we'll make sure that the body will make sure that whoever is practicing environmental studies and reports is a bona fide environmentalist. So, Mr. Speaker, I would like to thank the members who participated.
What is out of order, member, the new member for Malava? David Ndaku. You have hit the intervention button. The member for... Is there anything out of order? You may stand. Okay, please give him the mic.
Madam Speaker, I was just trying to check on the functioning of this to adult.
That is allowed.
Okay.
So, being a new member, that is allowed. Kindly conclude.
So thank you.
But when you hit the intervention button, the speaker assumes that there is something out of order. So I think it is important as you learn to know that pressing that button means that you have an intervention. Thank you. You may proceed.
So thank you, Madam Speaker. And I would like to once again thank the members who participated. And Madam Speaker, I beg to reply. Thank you.
Thank you very much, honorable members. I now put the question that the Environmental Professionals Institute of Kenya Bill, National Assembly Bill number 36 of 2024 be now read a second time. Will as many as have that opinion say aye? Will as many as have a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. Next order.
A bill for an act of parliament to provide for the establishment of the Environmental Professionals Institute of Kenya, to provide for the registration, licensing, and regulation of the standards and practice of environmental professionals and for connected purposes.
Next order.
Order number 16, the Sexual Offences Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 78 of 2023, second reading.
The Honorable Doris Donya.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I beg to move the Sexual Offences Amendment Bill 2023, National Assembly number 78, to be read the second time. Honorable Speaker, the principal objective of the bill is to amend the Sexual Offences Act to amend the Cabinet Secretary responsible for legal affairs to promote public awareness on sexual offences through nationwide education and information campaigns. Honorable Speaker, Section 2 of the Sexual Offences Act defines a sexual offense as an offense prescribed under the Act. These offenses include rape, sexual assault, defilement, sexual harassment, among others. The National Policy for Prevention and Response to Gender-Based Violence defines gender-based violence as acts of gender-based violence that result in physical, sexual, or psychological harm or suffering. Therefore, sexual offenses are considered to be acts of gender-based violence, which are serious, far-reaching negative offenses, effects including psychological trauma, social stigmatization, infections, and unwanted pregnancies. Madam Speaker, why I'm having this bill on awareness and advocacy is because if we don't teach the masses or the public about these offenses, they will continue recurring, such that if they are given the knowledge on how they should carry themselves, we will have a safer society, Madam Speaker. For example, if we have more campaigns on sexual offenses, we will definitely teach on prevention, because if the law is spelled out clearly, many people might abide by it, hence making a safer society for our young girls, even the women. We will also, Madam Speaker, be encouraging the community to be up in response. When the community is aware of these offenses, when they hear of such acts, they will be the first ones in reporting these offenses. They can either report to the chiefs, to the police, or even to any administrator around, Madam Speaker. Lately, in our villages, we have the community health promoters. If this information, Madam Speaker, reaches out to the community health promoters, they will definitely be spreading the messages on the sexual offenses, hence reaching deeper into the villages. There's a time, Madam Speaker, where I'm so interested about the awareness. You find that sometimes when the girls are defiled, the first thing, Madam Speaker, the parents tell the girls is that please go and shower so that we go and see the doctor. Disadvantage of this, Madam Speaker, is when the girls, for example, anyone who has been defiled takes a shower, you definitely, Madam Speaker, interfere with the evidence. When you go to the hospital, you will be told, it seems everything is okay. But this, when we have no evidence, Madam Speaker, definitely there is no case. So when we have our children, the community, having sensitized on the, having this information, we will then offer justice, Madam Speaker, to the victims. We also, why I'm advocating in this bill on the awareness and advocacy, we have the bystanders intervention. These ones, they are those when they've heard of this, maybe you report, you are storing to someone, you are saying, oh, yesterday in this village, such and such a thing happened. These bystanders, when they know well and they are briefed about sexual offenses, they will definitely, Madam Speaker, maybe report the matter or talk about it, and in the process of talking about it, people will have known, and maybe somewhere a well-wisher can report this offense. There is victim blaming, Madam Speaker, in our society. You find, for example, when a girl has been defiled, they will start asking the victim. The victim is in pain, but the people surrounding, they will be asking the victim, first of all, explain to me what happened. The victim will say, I had gone maybe to the supermarket to buy something, and then I was defiled. Then the community will be harsh on asking, what time was it? The victim will say, oh, it was around 7 p.m. or even 8 p.m. The first instance, the victim will be told, but you are the problem. Why were you out late in the night? Okay, if it's not about the time, Madam Speaker, the victims will be asked, what were you wearing? Then the victim maybe will say, okay, maybe even before the victim explains what she was wearing, she will be asked, were you wearing a short skirt? Were you wearing a tight dress? Then the victim will be told, my friend, you are the reason as to why you were defiled, because you seduced or you looked more ready to be defiled. So such awareness, Madam Speaker, is what is in this bill. The victims must know their rights. There are those who are being, maybe by the uncles or even the parents who will say, you are not supposed to report. If you report, you are going to bring shame to yourself or bring shame to the community. So the victims in this bill, Madam Speaker, its main intent is that they should be aware, Madam Speaker, of their rights, and they should be encouraged at all times to report such matters. So, Madam Speaker, one of the challenges emerging from the implementation of gender-based violence-related laws, including the Sexual Offences Act, is lack of advocacy and public awareness. which Madam Speaker has made me to be brave enough and stand here and say, we should now start from advocacy and awareness. Therefore, the bill seeks to address this gap in law by mandating the responsible cabinet secretary to promote public awareness on sexual offenses through nationwide education and information campaigns. Madam Speaker, even during the assemblies happen maybe on Mondays or Fridays every week. During this time of the assemblies, Madam Speaker, learners can be taken through of all this so that they can be aware on how they can handle themselves. This will also help in curbing the ever-rising cases of sexual offenses and address the menace of gender-based violence. I remember during COVID, Madam Speaker, people didn't know on how to carry prevention measures. But when the Ministry of Health came out clearly and told people, be wearing masks, avoid being in congested places, there was a curfew which was placed at that particular time, and slowly the country adjusted to ways of ending COVID. Such awareness and advocacy, Madam Speaker, if it is done in schools, then definitely we will be dealing with the sexual offenses in the best way possible to curb more offenses. Madam Speaker, the bill further mandates the Cabinet Secretary, in consultation with the Cabinet Secretary responsible for education, to establish programs to safeguard, protect, and promote the right to education of victims of sexual offenses, including victims of teenage pregnancies. There are some schools, Madam Speaker, where they tell the girls, you are, for example, they were defiled and they are pregnant, or not even defilement, they engaged in early sex, the teachers will tell them, you are now a mother. Go home and take care of your child. But in the recent world, Madam Speaker, we have second chances to learners. If these girls are given hope that it is not your last time, you can always pursue what you wanted to be in future, with or without a child. It's not a full stop. It's not a comma. It is just that it's something which has happened, and the girls can always be encouraged to go back to school. And they should know that it is not a criminal offense, Madam Speaker, rather a mistake which can be corrected. And it's not encouraging the girls that now they have to get pregnant because there will always be a second chance. But this is to the victims. However, Madam Speaker, when it comes to victims of sexual violence, this right is often undermined by systemic issues such as stigma, fear of judgment, and lack of support services. There are so many people, Madam Speaker, who can be witnesses and say, it was really horrible when such a thing happened to me. I didn't have anyone by my side to tell me what I was supposed to do, because maybe the nearest person who came near me told me that after being defiled and maybe you're pregnant, the best thing you should do is to do an abortion. So to address this issue and ensure continued access to education, the victims require specialized support in form of psychological and counseling to help victims cope up with the trauma and make it easy to continue with their education. Therefore, through the requirement of establishing programs by the Cabinet Secretary in the ministry responsible for education, the right to education of victims of sexual violence will be safeguarded. Madam Speaker, I beg to move and call upon Honorable Cynthia Muge to second the motion.
Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Sorry, to second the bill, sorry.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And I rise to second this motion or bill, like the mover wants to call it. And Honorable Speaker, I want to say a few items while seconding this particular amendment bill. Honorable Speaker, as you can see, the Sexual Offences Act was passed in this House in the year 2006. And Honorable Speaker, like I have said before, time and again, that this country does not suffer from lack of very well articulated acts of parliament, Honorable Speaker. Because if you look at the history and if you look at the matters that actually affect issues to do with sexual offenses, we even have the Protection Against Domestic Violence Bill of 2015, Honorable Speaker. We also have the Prohibition of Female Genital Mutilation Act, Honorable Speaker, of 2011. We have the Children Act of 2022, Honorable Speaker, and we even have the Victim Protection Act of 2014. Honorable Speaker, with all these acts of parliament that have been signed, Honorable Speaker, into law, that are supposed to be guiding how to deal with those issues that are affecting the community at large, Honorable Speaker, you wonder why we still have issues. And to pay attention to this particular amendment, Honorable Speaker, of the bill of the Sexual Offences Act 2006, Honorable Speaker, the Honorable Doris Donya, the member for Kisii, Honorable Speaker, has concerns about the low reporting rates of the sexual offences, Honorable Speaker. She has issues with the poor enforcement of these particular laws and policies that have been put in place. Honorable Speaker, she has a problem with victim blaming. Honorable Speaker, you ask yourself, why do we still handle victim blaming? That because you are raped, because you are defiled, we find a reason to actually to blame you for having been raped or defiled. Honorable Speaker, you wonder why we still do not have survivor-friendly centers in our counties and in our constituencies and in our wards and in our locations and even villages, Honorable Speaker. You wonder, Honorable Speaker, why we have all these acts of parliament totaling to more than 6 that are speaking close to the same matter. But, Honorable Speaker, we still lack knowledge on the rights that each and every Kenyan, each and every woman, each and every man in this country has, Honorable Speaker. We also wonder why we still have pathetic coordination between the police, between the health care facilities, and even the judiciary. You wonder why, Honorable Speaker. And the item that the Honorable Doris Donya is trying to address in this bill, Honorable Speaker, is why we have very good bills, why we have very good acts of parliament, why we have very good policies, but we cannot then see the results that are coming out better because we have those bills. And that is why, Honorable Speaker, she's saying we must be able to create awareness and be able to come up with advocacy. And Honorable Speaker, I want to say that I support this with all my being, because, Honorable Speaker, if we get the advocacy, if we get the awareness of these items and these rights that the people have, that they should be knowing that they have, Honorable Speaker, then we might be able to then sort out the issues. Because, Honorable Speaker, if you go back at home, you find a little girl who has been defiled. The girl is 11 years old. The girl is 14 years old. And you find that after they have been defiled, Honorable Speaker, the mother, just like Honorable Doris Donya, or the father, or the guardian who is around there, asks them to take a shower, Honorable Speaker. As soon as you take the shower, Honorable Speaker, when you go to report and you tell the police officer that there is a situation, I have been defiled, this girl has been raped, whatever has happened, the first question they'd ask you is, we need to be able to take a sample from you. And you go to the hospital. The next question that you ask at the hospital, Honorable Speaker, is, have you showered? And the answer is yes. As soon as your answer turns yes to showering, Honorable Speaker, the case starts becoming crippled. Why? Because they claim that we can then not get the evidence. Honorable Speaker, the reason why the mothers, the reason why the fathers, the reason why the guardians ask these children to be able to shower is because of victim shaming, is because of lack of knowledge, Honorable Speaker. And this particular amendment to this bill is going to finally give us a solution to this, so that every person who lives in this country, Honorable Speaker, can be able to know that when this happens to you, what is the next course of action? When this one is done to you, where do you go next? You get to know the do's and the don'ts when you are in a situation. And Honorable Speaker, I think if you're able to finally get the office of the Cabinet Secretary to be able to diligently handle this particular matter, then our community and our society will be properly aware of this, the next course of action when they are faced with a certain situation. So, Honorable Speaker, I want to say that I support this so that finally, Honorable Speaker, we can be able to have strengthened prosecution procedures years, so that we can be able to meet every requirement every step of the way, so that, Honorable Speaker, even those ones who are going on with defiling young children, you know, Honorable Speaker, you find a joke in the internet. Every time they see school girls, small girls, they are told, just open your eyes and look at that girl, but remember that the years that you will serve in jail is 30 years. That is the kind of awareness, Honorable Speaker, so that before you actually make the mistake, you actually defile or rape a girl or whatever you're doing, you must also know from start to end what awaits you in the future. So, Honorable Speaker, I support this amendment towards this bill, so that, Honorable Speaker, all the people, all the stakeholders, all the people that have different responsibilities in different sectors can be able to know what is expected of them, and even as a victim, you get to know what is expected of you. If we are able to do this, Honorable Speaker, we'll finally have a better way of implementing the very good acts of parliament that we have in this country, so that we can protect our people, protect our girls, protect our boys, protect the women and the men of this country, Honorable Speaker. With that, Honorable Speaker, I beg to second.
Just one moment, I'm getting my order paper. Honorable members, I now propose a question that the Sexual Offences Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 78 of 2023, be read a second time. The Honorable Member for Kitui Central, Honorable Nyamai. All members who are interested in contributing to this debate, kindly press the intervention button.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, let me start by congratulating the member for Kisii County for bringing this very important amendment to the Sexual Offences Act, CAP 63A, so that it can give the Cabinet Secretary an opportunity to ensure that Kenyans in all counties of this country, 47 counties, in all our sub-counties, and in all our locations and sub-locations, are aware that, that it is bad to rape, to attack, to force women into sex, and more specifically, Honorable Speaker, young children, Honorable Speaker, children who are 7 years, 9 years, 10, 11, 12, 13 years. Honorable Speaker, something is wrong about our country now. And Honorable Speaker, as I start to support this motion, this bill, I would like to say that we have a situation in my constituency, Honorable Speaker, and specifically in Ikuda sub-county, where we have seen increased cases of GBV, children being raped, children below the age of 17, and it is a very, very serious matter. Honorable Speaker, the Honorable Member for Kisii is suggesting that this needs to be put clearly into law. And I would like to say that this gives an opportunity for the House to appropriate money into it. Because when it is not suggested to be in every county of this country, then funds will not be appropriated to it. And I fully support this, Honorable Speaker. And Honorable Speaker, I would like to say that GBV and people being sexually assaulted and offended is not only happening to poor children, it is happening to the poor, to the rich, to the educated, to the uneducated, to the young, and to the old. And if, Honorable Speaker, one day we were courageous enough to say that anybody who has ever been sexually offended to make their way to the office of the DCC, and people are given an opportunity and told that it will be in confidence, Honorable Speaker, you will be surprised by the kind of people that will walk into that office. The reason as to why they do not do it is because some are ashamed to say that they have been assaulted. People are ashamed to say that they have been raped. But if this is put in the law, and the cabinet secretary is given the power, as the member of Kisii is saying, Donya, that let it go to all the areas of this country, let money be provided because it cannot be done without money, I believe that it can be done. Honorable Speaker, when you allowed me to go out to have tea, I sat with one of the members, I'll not mention his name, and I asked him whether he's aware of the Epstein files, that the matter that is being discussed all over the world. And he asked me, what are those files? And Honorable Speaker, I would like to say that for sure, we are not the only ones who are suffering GBV. And we are not the only women, or Kenyans are not the only women that are being assaulted. In the United States of America, in the UK, New York, in the best places, Honorable Speaker, Palm Beach, Florida, Little St. James Island, Great St. James Island, all those beautiful places of this world. That is where young women are being assaulted. And Honorable Speaker, as we speak about this locally, we need to know that we just lost a girl at the age of 41. And she was assaulted, raped, misused in the most prestigious and richest estate of the world. And she was never able to speak for herself. And she was traumatized, and she had no chance to speak until she committed suicide in April. To be precise, I think on the 25th of April, 2025, in Australia, having gone through sexual violence, rape, when she was only 17 years. Her name is Virginia. And it is happening in New York, it is happening in Mother, for the people that I represent. It is happening in New Mexico, it is happening in Ekanga. And it is time now we talk about it and give an opportunity to the Cabinet Secretary to be able to talk. Whether the Cabinet Secretary will be male or female, when they are enabled by the law, they'll be able to ensure that every county of this country, people are talking about gender-based violence, and that it is something that we should never tolerate in this country. Honorable Speaker, women should never be raped. Women should never be sexually assaulted. Women should never be defiled. Women should never be forced to have sex. And the worst part of all, Honorable Speaker, young children that we have faced, that we have seen. My most recent experience, Honorable Speaker, I got an opportunity to go and present food 2 weeks ago, and the chief of Kanziko told me that there is a girl that we should give food so that she can go home. And the girl she presented was 9 years old, who has been assaulted. And I asked him, what happened to this child? And he told me, this child was raped. And Honorable Speaker, I am sure as a woman, if you saw the way that girl was walking, you would have cried. What I did is that I called the county commander for Kitui, who is a woman, and I told her that by end of the next day, the person who had raped that girl should be arrested, and I would like to thank her because she made all the effort, and that person was arrested, and I hope that that little girl will get justice. What I wonder is, how will this girl grow? Having known her first experience of sex was by being forced into it by an adult, heavy man. Honorable Speaker, this is terrible, and it must be put in the law, and this House, Honorable Speaker, must appropriate money so that this matter is taken seriously. And I would like to encourage men in Kenya, and men in Africa, and men all over the world. It is better to just engage a woman. Talk to women. Do what is necessary. Do not go to young children who do not have a voice. Children who are 8, 9, 10, 11 years. Take responsibility. And please stop GBV in this country. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, for giving me a chance to put my voice into this important matter raised by the member for Kisii.
Thank you. I now call upon the Honorable Member for Trans Nzoia, Honorable Sioi, then she'll be followed by Honorable Jerusha, Member for Nyamira, and then we'll come to Honorable Wamuratha in that order.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving me...
Positive discrimination. Proceed.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving me this chance to contribute. I also stand to support the Honorable Member from Kisii for coming up with this bill. Madam Speaker, we have got so many gaps when it comes to sexual offenses. Madam Speaker, just as my colleague has just said here right now, there are so many times when a victim appears to the police station, and probably maybe you have changed, and it was just good that you changed because maybe the clothes you're putting on were already torn. But you are being told that you needed to come as you were, Madam Speaker. And this is so embarrassing because there is no way you can go to the police station with the clothes that are tattered just because you want to prove a point that actually your clothes were torn. So, Madam Speaker, I support this bill by Honorable Donya. And as I just want to remember, there is a clip that was moving around, I think 2-3 years ago from Bomet, where a girl was being raped by 7 boys, and that case did not go anywhere. And the reason was, as I was following up, I was told, Madam Speaker, that the lady did not come up to complain, but actually this is something that went viral, and I thought it was just good that action was taken against these victims, the perpetrators that were doing that. But unfortunately, it had to stop there because nobody picked up the case, Madam Speaker. I understand that when we have a murder case, usually it is now the state and the murderer. But when it comes to rape cases, it is upon the victim to report and decide if he's continuing with the case or the case is going to stop there, Madam Speaker. How I wish that we could change the law and take it upon the government that when somebody has been raped or assaulted or defiled, the case is taken by state so that it is upon them to follow up with the case and leave the victim free, so that we get in touch with these people, make sure that the perpetrators have been arraigned in court and even jailed for the cases that they do. Madam Speaker, it is so unfortunate that nowadays when someone has been arrested with a case of defilement or rape case, it is a case that is bailable. And these people are arraigned to court, they stay there for a few days, they are released from prison, they go out there and commit some more, they cause more harm than what we expected, Madam Speaker. We also need to come up with laws that will keep these people there because they are very dangerous to the community and to the society. Because most of the time when they come out, they again come and interfere with the evidences, or they come and speak to the victims, agree at home that they end this case. So we really need to be very tough on this thing and create awareness so that people don't feel victimized or stigmatized when they are the ones who have been raped, or maybe it is a case within the family. Because most of the time, people wouldn't wish to continue with such kind of cases just because they feel like they will be stigmatized as a family. So we need to create more awareness to the people. They should understand that it is not their making that they have been raped, but it is something that has happened which is wrong, and the I support this bill by Honorable Donya, and I thank you for giving me this chance.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much. Honorable members, before we go to the next debater, I would like to take this opportunity to welcome our guests seated in the public gallery this morning. Students from St. Clair Senior School girls from Molo constituency, Nakuru County. You are welcome to the House to continue observing proceedings of the House. Honorable members, I'll strictly follow the list that the Speaker has given me. So I will go to the Honorable Jerusha Momanyi, member for Nyamira, and also kindly you can welcome our students from St. Clair Girls Senior School.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving me this opportunity so that I can also talk on the amendment on the Offences Act, which has been brought forward by Honorable Doris. And before I do that, I would like to take this opportunity to welcome the students from St. Francis, who have come. You are St. Francis? St. Clair. Yeah, the students from St. Clair who have come to this parliament today. And we want to welcome you, and we want to tell you this is the most prestigious house. And as you have come here today, we want one of you, or two of you, in the final end, as you finish your age in school, you contemplate to be members of this parliament. This is the most prestigious house, and your teachers who have brought here, I know they have done a lot to teach you on what takes place here. We always take care of you. And today, as we are talking and discussing of the amendment of this Sexual Offences Act, mostly students are affected. The young girls who are in schools are affected because they are raped. And once they have been raped, sometimes they fear to report, or sometimes they do not know where to report. So today we are discussing this amendment so that the advocacy, the campaign, can go to every person, especially in schools. We want to ask, as we amend this bill, as we amend this act, we should make aware to our schools, whenever our students are maybe in assemblies, whenever they are assembled anywhere, or before they start, any teacher starts a lesson, she can, within 2 minutes, she can make an advocacy on the rapes and the defilements which are taking place within Kenya, and how those who have been raped, those who have been defiled, how they can be assisted, how these cases can be reported. Madam Speaker, we know from the assaults and the rapes, most of the girls have gotten teen pregnancies, and sometimes they have given birth to children. You find a young girl of 11 years giving birth to another young girl or young boy. So the girl of 11 years may not even be able to know how to handle this child. So that means these children are traumatized, and they are victimized again within the communities, because people make them laughing stocks, that you were able to get a child when you were only 11 years, and this was not her making. So, Madam Speaker, we want to amend this bill so that the advocacy, the campaign, goes to every person, even to those who are rapists, even those men who think that when they rape, they satisfy themselves and they cannot be known. They should know the jail term that they have, so that they can fear continuing doing this to our young children. Madam Speaker, as women, we have gone out there, we have tried to talk about this gender-based violence. But of course, if you listen to what is happening in our communities, the rise of gender-based violence is so high. This is because sometimes there are people within our communities who have not known the effects of raping, the effects of gender-based violence, especially, and it has even gone further to even the young boys. They are also being assaulted. So, Madam Speaker, I want to support this bill so that the gaps which are there make even that person who has been affected to know where to report or to know how to run away before this person has been reached by these rapists. And I also want to talk to all men also, to all men in the world. Women are there for you. Your work is to talk to them. It is not to go to children who do not have the voices to talk. Talk to women, and there are so many, and we have even been told that women are more than men. Why then are you going to the young girls, to the young children, and then leaving these old men, these women who can be able to talk to you, who can be able to defend themselves, who can be able to satisfy you even. So as a mother, I want to support this bill, and I want to thank my sister Doris for having brought it, and I want to urge this House to appropriate finances which can be used for these campaigns so that our people are enlightened. And maybe by doing that, we can slow down what we are seeing going around in our communities, in our country, and in the whole world. Madam Speaker, I beg to support.
Thank you. The Honorable Wamuratha, member for Kiambu.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I also stand to support the amendment of Sexual Offense Act brought in by the member for Kisii County. And I really want to address the issue in a very broader way of looking at it also. When you talk about sexual offense and whatever is happening in our country today, let's also not forget that we are having people raping even our young boys, sodomizing them, and all these people require to be defended by this House. But again, Honorable Speaker, on what we are dealing with today on the issues of Sexual Offense Act, I really want to support it with a lot of passion. Considering the kind of things that we've been hearing in this country, it's only yesterday that a young girl was reported to have been raped and thrown in a pit latrine at a place in Nyeri. And when you listen to the kind of community that we are living with, number one, we can attest that the person who goes to rape such a child is a person that is known to that child. And possibly this is the reason why after they rape them, they decide also to kill them so that they can hide the evidence. The other thing is that all these things are happening even in our families. There is a lot of rape within our families, but because we want to consolidate our families and hide in our people, I'm only requesting that as we speak about this issue, when we talk about sensitization, when we talk about educating our people, and also bringing awareness, it is not that because it was a relative that the issue can be sorted out within the family levels, but again, everybody needs to be taken to a court of law. And I am imagining Kenyans now, through this House, we need to come up with a law and a sensitization to our people to be making the sexual act offenders be taken in like the other hard criminals that we have in this country. Even like people with robbery with violence. Because I think they are even worse than those robbers. Because what they are robbing is the future of a child, a future of a woman, a future of somebody who was looking into the future and had dreams that have been cut short by somebody who decided to interfere with their lives. One thing I would really want to condemn very strongly is that families, communities, and the society at large is taking this issue very lightly, that sometimes a person reports in the police. That is why most people don't even want to report to the police station, because anytime they go and report, the police will not take it seriously, because again, the issues that goes around it, the issues of being taken to the hospital, the issue of you did not report to the hospital before you come here, and maybe the person who is being told to even go to the hospital is a helpless person, somebody who is being raped. A majority of them honestly are people who are vulnerable in our society. And all what we need to do as a House is come up also with very strong laws defending such people, because at the end of the day, sometimes they don't even know who to talk to, because the society has gone silent. So if we would bring everybody on board, including the churches where most of us go every Sunday, and building this sensitization, as we talk from the office of the Cabinet Secretary, we have people all over, in churches, in schools, sensitizing that it doesn't matter who is involved in that case, that they have to face the full wrath of the law. And I also want to request that through the office, we have a place even in the police station
where somebody understands they can go and report these cases. Because the trauma that goes ahead with issues of rape is a trauma that one does not want to talk about it. But when they know that at the police station or at the police post, there is a special unit where they can go and report such cases, then we will see our people finding it easier to go and disclose in a place that is open for them. Because then they find going openly into the police station sometimes does not serve them right. But again, as I conclude, Honorable Speaker, I would want to request that the Office of the Cabinet Secretary takes this issue more seriously than the way they are doing it now, so that they sensitize everybody in the community, bring everybody on board, and whatever is becoming their problem, bring it to this parliament, then we'll be able to follow it instead of the community going through all this pain. We are seeing communities where fathers rape their daughters, and because it is a family issue, they are threatened that this can only be felt within the family circles. And we want to bring this thing to an awareness that even these fathers can be dragged out of their homes so that these children can be getting their rights. And not only children, even women who have not given consent to be used by these men need to also be given a way where they can be able to express themselves and be given an opportunity. And above all, let us also not forget that we need to look into this law and again continue amending it on looking also into the boy child who also has now become a victim of the same. There are men who are sodomizing other men. There are men who are making other men their wives. And they are sodomizing young children who are vulnerable. And because the society is not used to seeing men crying, when a man or a boy goes to cry for the same, it is like they are treated like it was not a big issue. And I want to really thank the MP for Kisii for bringing this issue on board, that this issue needs to be amended, and not just this one issue, but we continue looking into it, and many other issues be brought into this house so that whatever is hindering the Cabinet Secretary's office from moving on to getting these people, to facing these people head on, can be sorted out even in this house. We'll be more than willing to support. And thank you so much, Honorable Member for Kisii, for bringing this issue that is even becoming a thorn in the flesh in this country. I support the amendment. Thank you.
Thank you. The Honorable Fatuma Mohammed.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for this opportunity. To all our members, Happy New Year. We have not met since the year started, and we thank Allah for this opportunity to serve our country in another year. Honorable Speaker, I want to congratulate my sister, Honorable Doris Donya, for coming up with this amendment in the bill. Honorable Speaker, there's a lot happening. Many members of our society think that rape is only for girls who are under 18. Rape happens even to boys. Rape happens even to older men. Rape happens even in a married family, a husband and a wife. Either gender can rape the other because it is said, sorry to use the word, sex without the other person's consent is rape. So even if you're married, your husband can rape you. Even if you're married, your wife can rape you. Your friend can rape you. So it's not about being a minor only. It's very common these days on boys, and especially in African society. When it happens to a boy, they say this is not a weaker person, so for it to have happened, they must have been playing. It is not true. People don't want to accept and live with the reality. In communities, mostly in Northeastern, there's a lot of negotiation when rape happens. To hide the shame from the family, the girl is forced to marry the person that raped her so that the case can be settled. As my sister had said, Honorable Lillian, the government should take rape case just as they take murder case. When a person is killed, the case is between the state and the murderer. When someone is raped, the case should be between the state and the rapist, so that outside court settlements are not encouraged. Rape that happens within the family, in most cases, is hidden, and the families is settled because they say, this is your cousin, this is your uncle, this is your stepfather, there's nothing we can do about it, we are family, we don't want to lose family. If that case was between the state and the supposed victim, there would be no such settlements. So I want to encourage our government that honestly we should educate our people about rape. Rape is a very painful thing. In fact, it is a slow death that is put into the person that is raped, because it is a scar that you will you live with for the rest of your life, and nothing can erase it. Rape happens even in churches. It happens even in mosques, though very, very rare in a mosque. But it happens openly in churches and other worship places. But I want to tell you that even when you go to God and you forgive a rapist, what do you think God thinks of you? Because you have eventually killed that person. There are instances where the person is raped, there is no pregnancy, but the person ends up getting a sexual transmitted disease. In such a case, the court should not just deal with rape only. There should be charge for rape, charge for the disease, charge for the emotional torture. A rapist should have more than 100 cases put on him or her. So I want to tell our government, please make this an education in our education system, make it a topic in class. Let us be open about it. Let us discuss it in churches. Let us tell our chiefs that as you do baraza, educate wananchi that rape is a serious offense that is not forgivable. Though we give bond, and there is a section, though I'm not a lawyer, but I know that there is a section that if a rapist, especially a rapist to a minor, if you are jailed and you go and ask for your case to be reviewed, I hear in most cases the judges do double. The attempt to ask for your case to be reviewed, the attempt only earns you extra years. That is the kind of cases that we need to see. But as we talk more of the minors, there are so many elderly people who are also being tortured, being raped, and the government cannot assist. So let us make it a normality to discuss sex issues in school. Let us, our children, our mothers, and our elderly who never went to school know that if you are raped, it is not that person's right because he is a man or because this other rapist is a woman. Let it be known that it's an offense. Let us know that it's not a stigma. It is just like somebody beating you up. It's not normal to be raped, but it is normal to talk about it and take the case forward. I encourage all those women who have gone through this that it is not the end of life. There is still another day to live. I want to encourage parents whose children have gone through this that as you hide and accommodate the rapist, it will happen again to that family. It will happen again to that child. And if your family, your son or your daughter is a rapist, and you hide it, and because maybe you come from a well-off family, you pay off the other family, or you intimidate the court, intimidate the victim or the witnesses, I want to remind you that God in heaven is watching, and you will not be able to buy God on the judgment day. You might think that the family will live and continue living with a scar, but I want to tell you, the scar might follow you in other ways other than rape. You will live a miserable life for torturing another person's life. So I beg Kenyans, let us be very open about rape and even attempted rape. Because people believe the moment it happens, the actual sex happens, that is when you've been raped. There is also attempted rape because you could be stronger. Maybe the person was drunk. He or she tried to get to the act, but you managed to escape it. That is attempted rape. And even that should be punished, should not go unpunished. So I congratulate Honorable Donya, and I request all our members, please let's support this amendment. Let us also, in our campaigns, talk freely about rape. May God bless Kenya. May God bless all our leaders.
Thank you. Having exhausted that list, honorable members, let us go to the Honorable Julius Olesonkuli, member for Kilgoris.
Madam Speaker, while I join the mover of this motion, of this bill, in the spirit that she has come, and the many good comments that have been made by our honorable ladies, the Honorable Cynthia Muges said that this problem we are trying to solve is not short of legislation. There are quite a number of laws, including, in fact, the Sexual Offences Act itself, that actually address this issue. But I join the ladies, or honorable colleagues, who have stated their point clearly. But Madam Speaker, I want you to allow me to wear the glasses of a lawyer. Because in the end, after the sentiments that we have stated about the ills of sexual offense, we must go back to the amendment that the Honorable Donya has brought to see whether this is a cure to the problems that have been stated in this House. And I'm just going to go to the letter of the law, Madam Speaker. And when you look at the amendment that the Honorable Donya has proposed, in Section 2, she says that under Section 2, the definition of Cabinet Secretary is being amended. Madam Speaker, the current definition of Cabinet Secretary in the current Act says it's a secretary, the Cabinet Secretary, or the Minister, sorry, she wants to call it Cabinet Secretary, which is good. But says, currently it is the Minister responsible for matters relating to legal affairs and public prosecutions. But you see, under the amendment that has been brought by Honorable Donya, for some reason, the full stop ends with matters with legal affairs, and public prosecutions has been deleted. I don't understand, the Honorable Donya has not explained why the Cabinet Secretary here is no longer in charge of cabinet prosecutions. I actually would have loved to see Honorable Donya defining the Cabinet Secretary in a better way, because even the current definition is not good enough. Because, Madam Speaker, who is the Cabinet Secretary responsible for legal affairs? When you look at it, is the Attorney General under the laws of Kenya actually a Cabinet Secretary? Because there are three categories of people who sit in Cabinet under Article 152. One is the President, who is not a Cabinet Secretary. The second one is the Deputy President, who is not a Cabinet Secretary. And the third one is the Attorney General. Then the fourth category is Cabinet not more than 22 Cabinet Secretaries. So in our law, can we actually say that we leave a responsibility to a Cabinet Secretary, when in fact at the back of our minds we mean that is the Attorney General? But at any rate, the Honorable Donya should just have left it there the way it is, because when you add and public prosecutions, that at least points to the direction of the Attorney General. If you leave it at legal matters, you don't know who is responsible or who is not responsible for legal matters. So that particular amendment on the definition of Cabinet Secretary does not succeed. Madam Speaker, I don't know whether the honorable members have actually tried to internalize what is the meaning of this amendment. The first thing is to create a situation of sex education. And you know, when you say that the Cabinet Secretary shall do this, that would not have been very bad in itself. But when you start saying that the Cabinet Secretary shall consult with the Cabinet Secretary for Education, you are bringing these things to school. And Madam Speaker, when you bring these matters to school and you have not done public participation, that brings a very dangerous situation. In the first place, all of us know that these are matters that are hotly debated. The honorable member who was moved might belong to the Seventh-day Adventists. The seconder might belong to the Second Adventist, a church with a very high conscience. I don't believe that has been consulted. There are many people who still have an objection with bringing legal and with sexual education to schools. And I think that these matters should have been left. If you want to live with the Cabinet Secretary, don't involve the Cabinet Secretary in charge of education. Leave him out of this thing, because we still have not resolved the issue of whether sex education should be part of our curriculum. When the honorable member from Kiambu says that every morning this matter should be said at the assembly, that is dangerous. As matters of sex education should begin with the parents, should go to the church, should go to other people that train conscience. But when you try and say that you are bringing matters of the Sexual Offences Act into school, and call it sexual education, Madam Speaker, don't bring it to school. Delete this part that says in consultation with the Cabinet Secretary for Education. If you insist it must remain with the Cabinet Secretary, let it remain outside the school. Go and educate people in the barazas. Go and educate people on TV. Go and educate everybody elsewhere, but don't bring it to school. Then, Madam Speaker, there's a terminology.
Honorable Member for Kilgoris,
Yeah.
you know you're a very good debater, and you have a lot of experience, and you have been in this house for long. But I would like to encourage you to do your debate. I mean, you can raise all the objections, but you can avoid criticizing what the other members have said. Because they also have a right to debate. I think...
I'm sure, Madam Speaker, I'll also be...
Don't hit them too hard.
All right.
Don't hit us too hard.
I'm sure I'll also be answered, Madam Speaker, because I'm not the last speaker. There's still 2.5 hours, and I'm sure somebody will have something against what I've said. Madam Speaker, when you look at that under the new section 46A, this thing has introduced another terminology called teenage pregnancy. Teenage pregnancy, Madam Speaker, is not defined, excuse me. The teenage pregnancy is not defined in the law as it is today. At least it is not defined in the Sexual Offences Act. So what is teenage pregnancy, Madam Speaker? Teenage, teen in itself talks about 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. The law draws a line at 18. 18 and 19 have nothing to do with law. So what is teenage pregnancy? So let us not try and introduce another terminology that doesn't exist. And I'm putting this as the lenses of a lawyer, not of I'm not arguing a philosophical thing. When you hand over this law to the lawyers, how will they interpret this law? It is not going to be interpretable in any way. And lastly, Madam Speaker, there is a principle of law that says that the law cannot act in vain. So, if you say today that we are going to promote public awareness and sexual offences through nationwide education and so on, how is this law going to be implemented? You should be able to say, to specifically legislate on what should be done so that we know exactly how this law is going to be done. And Madam Speaker, you yourself, when you are debating, said that we must have money to put in this thing, that money is going to be required. The mover of the motion, while stating this, puts a statement and says, this bill does not require any money. It is not a money bill. Don't you think, Madam Speaker, that this bill requires money? Don't we need to be honest that we require to change something so that we can be able to accommodate this financially? Madam Speaker, with a heavy heart, I do not agree.
Thank you, Member for Kilgoris. The Honorable Karoli Omondi, Member for Suba South.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I actually rise to support, but I believe there's still a bit of work to be done on this particular bill. I think a country that does not support or protect its women is a country without a future. And if you clearly understand the various definitions of sexual offenses, then you will understand that this particular problem affects both boys and girls. Actually, there's a lot of sexual violence against boys which is not talked about and which is not made public, simply because there's even more greater stigma about that than sexual violence against girls. I also agree that there's need for increased promotion of public awareness about sexual offenses. But I would have proposed, and I would like to suggest to the proposer of the bill, that we focus on mainstreaming sexual education or discussion about sexual violence against persons, whether boys or girls. The way this is done in many jurisdictions is that even in places of employment, there's a requirement that employees are taken through some education process of what sexual offenses are. And this would also apply to institutions of learning. It would apply to places of work. It should be in a matter of mainstreaming, even in all activities, even within government structures. Newly recruited staff or regularly, people should be taken through some form of education about or promotion of sexual awareness about sexual offenses. Sexual offenses, if you look at the Act, include rape, attempted rape, gang rape, indecent act, which many people don't understand what that is. Sometimes standing closely to the person of the opposite gender, extending your hand to places that you should not, rubbing yourself against them. Some things that people take to be normal socialization processes, but which actually under the Act are criminal activities. Sexual assault. It does not necessarily include violence. It could just include the soft touching of a female's body without her consent in a lift, which a lot of our people don't understand. Child pornography is very clear, but also issues of sexual communication with young children. But there's even a bigger problem here when it comes to transmission of sexually transmitted diseases, which again is actually a sexual offense. When you deliberately infect somebody with an STI or HIV or whatever it is, whether in marriage or out of marriage or in a relationship, even when there's consent, but there's consent to the sexual act, but not to the infection itself. So I think we need to really try and understand and go further. And I would encourage Mheshimiwa Donya to expand some of the remits of the bill so that we also include awareness, even counseling in churches to those who are getting married, that you can actually commit a sexual offense in a marriage, in counseling. For me, it is one of those things that I've proposed under the Education Laws Amendment Bill, which was published and will be in the House soon, under nationhood science, so that it is mainstreamed as part of our education system curriculum, that people are taken through this. That is what happens in other jurisdictions, where children are taught how to relate with each other, how not to commit sexual offenses against each other. But as chair of Constitutional Implementation Oversight Committee, I did visit several prisons in Kilifi County, both women and male prisons. And what surprised us was the high number of young boys accused of defilement. You see, there is a terminology, use of penetration, when you're committing certain sexual offenses. But there are instances where penetration is not an element of crime, where, you've touched somebody or you've sexually assaulted them. But if you go to the prisons in Kilifi, majority of the offenders are young men under 18 who had sexual intercourse with girls who are under 18. It is a problem, and we need to address this. What happens when teenagers who have become sexually active between certain age but have not become adulthood engage in consensual sex? It is the boy who pays the price. And I saw them, many of them, they were the majority of people in remand, of people who have been jailed. Yeah, but when you look at the files and you talk to the prisoners and you talk to the court assistants, they engage in consensual sexual acts with their contemporaries, age mates. I think we need to look at this. The other issue that I think we need to propose, Honorable Donya, that we look at, is to expand the remit of this bill. You see, there is sexual harassment and sexual exploitation, where those in authority actually use their positions and power to extort sex from those who report to them. It's mostly common in positions of employment, or even as a politician, you are working in your constituency, you intimidate women, whether male or female. It's not just the men who extort sex. Females also extort sex. and use their positions of authority to force those who work for them into sexual relationships. And some have become very notorious in this country. But there is a new element of sextortion where you are not, it's not an act where the person coercing the other into sexual relationship is in power. Where somebody deliberately distorts your image online, yeah, creating images that you are engaged in sexual activity or you are in relationships with them, or they remove your clothes, mix and match the pictures and expose your nudity, or in circumstances where they blackmail you, where they found you holding hands with somebody or they have a picture of you and they extort money from you. I think we need to include this as well in the Sexual Offences Act, the act of sextortion, as another element of this crime. And because for that latter one, you don't have to be in authority with anybody. You just have, anybody can do it. There's also this other issue that is very common where people of the Muslim faith, the girls are abused, are sexually assaulted or harassed or raped, and then the matter is then resolved without a court process. Actually, in some instances, the girls are then forced to marry those who raped them. Which, there can be no more grievous assault after that. So I think we should have express exclusions. When it comes to sexual matters...
Madam Speaker, I have a point of order.
Yeah, when you have sexual offenses, the matter must proceed naturally to a court of law for adjudication.
Order,
Yes.
Wakili.
Let me use his mic.
Order, Honorable Karoli.
Yeah, thank you.
There
Thank you,
is a
Madam
point
Speaker.
of order by the member for Changamwe.
Madam Speaker, Honorable
What is out
Karori,
of order, Mheshimiwa?
Honorable Karori has actually insinuated that Muslims normally do such arrangements. I want to point it to him that we do not allow such things in our faith. If it happens, then it happens not because they are Muslims, but because they are just human beings. So that Muslim faith should actually be removed. And I think this is also applicable to non-Muslims. They do such arrangements as well. So I just wanted that insinuation of the Muslim faith to be removed from his speech. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
So what is out of order is the subject of the honorable member being truthful.
Yeah.
Okay, Wakili?
Maybe with...
No, I want to give him a chance to, he is the one who was on the floor debating, so if he would like to comment on it.
What my dear friend should have asked me is to add Christians as well, because it is happening in both, but not to exclude Muslims, because it is happening amongst them. The other day, there was a big documentary on NTV in Wajir, where girls came and clearly said, I was raped. The family came, said I should not file a complaint in court. And there was even a suggestion that dowry be paid and she gets married to her rapist. It was there. So let me put it this way. Both Muslims and Christians who practice this, we should not allow it. Yeah, but we cannot close our eyes to it. It is happening in all faiths and in all communities. So I think if somebody commits rape or commits any form, the forms of sexual offenses, the matter should be addressed in court. And there should be no pathway to settlement out of court in crimes such as this. And finally, what is now happening is that there should be, no limitation. We have something called limitations in law, time within which certain things must be done. Good luck for criminal activities, there are no limitations. So even if you committed a sexual violent act against a woman 20 years ago, if there's still witnesses, you can be prosecuted. With all those remarks, I support and I propose that the proposer of the bill allows certain amendments to be introduced to strengthen her bill. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. The Honorable Lisa Chelule. Honorable members, since I see interest in this bill, you may choose to speak for 5 minutes instead of going up to 10, so that those of you who have expressed interest can have an opportunity to speak. You may proceed. bearing in mind that we did not set limits for how long you can speak, we can go up to 10 minutes. But for the interest of other members, you can choose to summarize so that more of you can talk.
Okay, asante Madam Speaker. Ningetaka kuongea kuhusu hii sheria ambaye inahusu jinsia na mambo yao ya kimaisha. Na kabla sijaongea ningependa kupongeza mheshimiwa kutoka Kisii County, Mheshimiwa Donya ambaye ameleta sheria ya kuleta amendments ama marekebisho katika sheria iliyoko. Na ni mambo ya maana sana, mambo ya kufunza watu, mambo ya kuelimisha wananchi, kuelimisha watu wazima, kuelimisha watoto hata kwa shule. Nataka kusema wakati Mheshimiwa Sunguli amesema hii masomo ya kuelimisha watu mambo ya unajizi na mambo kama hayo, siwezi kuunga mkono. Ningependa sana masomo ipelekwe kwa shule. Nimesikia Mheshimiwa Karoli ameongea, amesema kuna mahali watoto wachanga wanafanya mambo ya unajizi ama wanafanya mambo ya ngono na ni watoto wadogo. Na hii inafanyika katika shule ama nyumbani. Kuna haja sana tuwe na elimu ya kutosha. Napoongea Madam Speaker ama mwenyekiti, ninaongea nikielimisha sasa wazazi. Mheshimiwa wa Nandi County aliongea na akasema kuna wale ambaye wanafanya makosa wakati mtoto yao ama yeye mwenyewe amenajisiwa, kuoga ama kuosha manguo zao za ndani. Hiyo nataka kuangalia kwa umakini sana. Waelimishe kwamba wasioge kabla hawajaenda polisi na wasioshe manguo zao, sababu hii ndio evidence ambayo itapelekwa kotini. Leo hii tunapoongea ni kitu ya maana sana, na nataka kupongeza wajumbe kina mama na wajumbe kina baba ambaye wameongelelea hii sheria. Hii ni kusema sisi wote hatuwezi kiketi chini na kuanza kufikiria ama kuanza kuichukulia kwamba kila kitu ni sawa. Unajizi ni kitu mbaya sana na hatungetaka iendelee. Hata sisi kama wajumbe ambaye tunaketi kwenye hii bunge, wanaume kwa wanawake, hakuna mtu anaweza furahia mtoto yake akinajisiwa ama kulawitiwa kama ni kijana. Hakuna mtu anafurahia mambo kama hiyo, ama ya mtoto ya jirani ama ya shule fulani. Hakuna mtu anapenda mchezo kama hiyo, na inafanyika. Kwa hivyo katika sheria yetu tuko na sheria ya kutosha, lakini imefika wakati ambaye inafaa turekebishe, inafaa tuboreshe sheria ambayo hiko. Na Mheshimiwa Donya ameelimishwa na Mheshimiwa Karoli ameelimishwa kuhusu sheria ambaye imeletwa na Donya kwamba inafaa inoneshwe, inafaa kuboreshwa zaidi. Kwa hivyo inafaa Mheshimiwa Donya tuketi pamoja tena kabla hatujafikia masomo ya 3.
Member for Nakuru County, are you trying to call the Honorable Karoli Omondi Caroline?
No, nimesema Omondi, nimesema Karoli, sikusema Omondi, but I know his name is Omondi Karoli. Sikusema Caroline, but I think Karoli is the opposite of Caroline or what? I don't know, but he's Karoli. I mentioned Mheshimiwa Karoli. So, Madam Speaker, ninataka tu kusema mimi kama mjumbe kutoka Nakuru, ninaongea na wazazi. Na ni kwa nini ninaongea na wazazi ama relatives ya wale watoto ambaye wamenajisiwa, wamefanyiwa kitendo mbaya, kwamba si vizuri kuketi katika kijiji pia ama kule polisi kuketi na kuongea mambo ya kienyeji na kuongea mambo ya kuhongana kama wazazi, kupatiwa pesa kwa niaba ya yule mtoto mdogo ambaye yeye hajui ni nini inaendelea katika maisha yake. Na katika hii sheria pia ninaona kama ni vizuri pia kuweka yale maongeo ambaye watu wanaweza kuamua kuongea tu kusema okay, wacha tuwapatie ng'ombe, wacha tuwapatie pesa, wacha hata mwenye alifanya hivyo aendelee kuwa msichana. Hiyo sio suluhisho. Lazima kila mtu ajue mambo ya unajisi ni makosa na kuna sheria ambayo inaweza kufungwa miaka mingi sana. Na ningependa tu kuchukua hii nafasi niambie Mheshimiwa Donya kwamba tuketi tena tuangalie mambo ambayo tunaweza kutaja kabla tujapitisha hii sheria ambayo umelete kwenye bunge hii. Otherwise nasema asanteni sana wajumbe ambao wameongea positively, na kitu ambaye ningesema Madam Speaker ni waziri husika ihakikishe kwamba elimu
ama sensitization, elimu kuhusu hii mambo iendelee, iwe a program. Hata kama ni program ambaye wataweka kwenye vernacular station ama zile stations ya kinyumbani, ili kila mjumbe hapa wawe wakiongea kuelimisha watu pale nyumbani, ama iwekwe katika curriculum ya masomo yetu katika nchi yetu ya Kenya. Tuhakikishe kila mtu amejijua, msichana amejijua, kijana amejijua, wanajua unajisi ni nini na ni nini na steps gani itafuatwa wakati imefanyika. Asante Madam Speaker. Naunga mkono.
Asante. Mheshimiwa Eric Wamumbi, mbunge wa Mathira.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I also rise to support the second reading of the Sexual Offences Amendment Bill 2023. Madam Speaker, sexual offences have now become too much in this country. And as a country, it's the high time we have a serious conversation about this matter, Madam Speaker. And in Mathira constituency, we have a very sad case that happened yesterday of a 9-year-old girl, Chantel Waruguru, from a village called Kianjogu, who was raped, killed, and thrown into a pit latrine, Madam Speaker, yesterday. And it is alleged that it was done by her uncle. I strongly condemn that incident, and I'll be joining the peaceful people of Mathira who will be walking in Karatina on Saturday from 9 a.m. to condemn that act. And I want to agree with my colleagues who says that a rape case should be between the state and the rapist, because we have seen so many cases of out-of-court settlement. And a rape case, a rapist should be denied, just like a murderer should be denied bond. And I must thank the member for Kisii for coming up with this amendment so that we make sure that we have this conversation as a country. Madam Speaker, we have structures, and I agree we need to do sensitization. Many times we talk about tree planting, we talk about lifestyle diseases, and we do a lot of sensitization to these agendas. We have enough structures. We have GAO officers, we have county health promoters, we have so many structures that we need to use to sensitize our people on this matter. And I also think, Madam Speaker, that the next public holiday should be themed under this matter, so that as a country we speak, we have a conversation, we find solution, we sensitize our people on the consequences. Because most people don't know the consequences of these offenses. And I join the other colleagues who are saying that we need to elaborate and widen this discussion. Just because the member for Kisii has brought it up, we need now to ignite this conversation, widen it, broaden it, so that everyone is sensitized. The churches, the GAO officers, all the structures we have, we make sure that we are having this conversation as a country. So, Madam Speaker, I support the second reading. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. The Honorable David Ndakwa, member for Malava.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And I'd like to congratulate Honorable Doris Donya Aburi for coming up in her own wisdom with this bill of sexual offences awareness, number 78 of 2023. Madam Speaker, looking at this bill, there is a section whereby it is stated that the Cabinet Secretary should establish a program to safeguard, protect, and promote the right to education of victims of sexual offenses. Madam Speaker, that one is the best we can hear from the bill because if it aligns with the acting constitution, the society will be a safe place to live. Madam Speaker, providing public awareness on sexual offenses, it builds a safe society and it gives a face to a responsible society, and the society becomes informed. Madam Speaker, when we educate people about sexual offenses, it constitutes for them to know what is right for them by understanding the boundaries, by understanding the consent. Madam Speaker, it tells them what the law states, and this reduces the cases significantly in abuses. Madam Speaker, the vulnerable groups, whom I'm calling the children, people living with disabilities, marginalized groups, are the most affected because they have no voice. But Madam Speaker, if we have public education, it empowers these vulnerable groups, and it gives even the guardians of these vulnerable groups to have the knowledge on how to identify, prevent, and report these cases. Madam Speaker, when cases go unreported due to fear, stigma, and ignorance, it is because most of the society have no awareness means. That is why if programs are put in place to help the victims understand their rights and available system to keep support, like the police, like the hospitals and the counseling services, we can reduce sexual offenses and we can have a society that has a face. Madam Speaker, when we have informed communities, they become aware and safeguard. Even where Honorable Sonkoli says they should not be taken to schools, at that early age is when one needs to understand and grasp well what it means for them to have a dignified life. So it can be extended to churches, to schools, and even working places. We might think they are responsible people, but when they go mad sometimes, or maybe having some issues, their moral understanding, normally there is a decay at working places. And even in public places, we need to take their awareness to the society so that we can live a dignified life. Madam Speaker, I'm happy to support this because cultural taboos are often prevented upon discussion. But with public awareness, we can have these sexual offenses discussed amicably by creating safe environment or safe spaces for the victims to air out what they have gone through in the name of experiences as a show, as a learning processes to others, so that we can have an open society where discussions are available. Madam Speaker, as I conclude, educating citizens about laws of sexual offenses, it helps people to understand the consequences of the committed crimes and the seriousness that it deserves for them to understand. They might get into reduction because of the penalties involved. Therefore, Madam Speaker, in her own wisdom, I give support to Honorable Doris Donya to come up with this bill that is very essential and very important to our society. Thank you, Madam Speaker, for the opportunity.
Thank you very much. The Honorable Elizabeth Kailemia, member for Meru County.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, for giving me this opportunity. And thank Doris Donye for bringing this up once more for the second reading. I really don't know what to say because this thing is so rampant. And to my opinion, I think we need to emphasize more on awareness, advocacy, anything we can do to make the public aware that they have rights, particularly those who have been defiled. In my area, I had a girl who was raped and several others clapping as the girl is being raped. And it was so sad that fine morning when I learned of that episode. It was so sad. And the girl hid herself because obviously the family didn't want to be embarrassed. So the girl had to hide. She also didn't want to be known. And it has taken such a long time even to catch the culprits. Even today, I think they are still alleged. They have not been taken to the police because the girl in the first place was not cooperating. So that's why I really want to emphasize. Let's create some awareness to our people, particularly the parents who want to hide this sin, knowing very well their girl was defiled by their uncle or even the brother or the father, and still they want to hide this thing. So somebody's talked about adding more money in the budget for awareness. I would really support that. And thank Doris Donye so much because in my place, I don't know what has happened lately. Well, we are thinking about the girl, the boys who are being defiled on the other side. So it's not only for girls, but even boys being defiled by their fellow men or something like that. And we talked of sex education. And I could see Mheshimiwa Sankuli doesn't want to talk much about it, but I think it's about time. It has been brought up in Parliament, even before I was here, many times. Do we need to have sex education in our schools? I would say yes, because those poor girls and even those poor boys, they really don't know what is happening to them. And of course, they are made to keep quiet. But if they know that their state is supporting them, will defend them, will protect them, I think they will be able to come up and talk about it. I think there are more people outside who have not come up to talk than those who have even talked about it. It's so rampant everywhere, as somebody mentioned, even in the whole world. But let's take care of our people, not only children, but even grown-ups. And again, Donya, thank you very much, Mheshimiwa, for bringing this up at this time. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The Honorable Beatrice.
Jinsi ambavyo binadamu anahitaji lishe bora kwa ajili ya kukua vizuri, basi ndio hivyo kwa mifugo wako. Wanahitaji chakula bora, sio tu chakula. Wiki hii kwenye Mkulima tunaangazia June Cow, lishe kwa ng'ombe wako.
Hii nyasi inakuliwa na wanyama wote. Sungura, nguruwe, ng'ombe, mbuzi, kondoo, hata pia kuku. Protein yake iko between 16 and 18%. Ni kama kulisha na dairy milk. Kila siku.
Ungana nasi kila Jumamosi saa 10:30 hapa KBC Channel 1 kwa mseto kamili wa kilimo.
Don't move! This isn't over yet. That's enough of you. Let go of me! You deaf? I said let go! I'm telling you, I can destroy you with my phone.
Jason, come on! Let go!
Just try it.
I put up with you for months.
Oh, well, we're so sorry.
That's not good enough! Look at my car! Look at what he did!
So sorry.
What kind of hotel is this?
You're right.
You here to scam us? What do you think this is?
That's enough!
All right, hurry up!
Kazi na pia kwa sauti tofauti za watangazaji wetu.